After 3 opening races of the season in the lovely state of Florida at Daytona, Miami, and Daytona respectively, the series returns to a state other than the state of Florida for the 4th round of the Bandit Racing League Season 9 at Atlanta. In the opening round of the Rogue Energy triple header at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Welcome, folks, for the 4th race of what has been a great season so far. 3 different winners to start off the year, and 3 very deserving winners at that. And well, I can't wait to get ready, get things going, and it's just going to be a blast to see. Our first time back at a kind of traditional oval, and the first time since Miami, which was a great race and plenty of competition. I know Atlanta is a fan favorite for most of the drivers in the series, so hopefully this week we can continue the tradition of this being a fun race. Last season's winner, Ricky Hart Jr. We'll see if he can compete this time and maybe go for 2 in a row, because he won this time last season. And since then, in race 4 of season 8, he actually doesn't have a win in the series, despite being one of the best drivers overall. So, you know, maybe tonight is the night to get the kind of camel off his back in a way. And well, tonight we are joined by, for the 2nd week in a row since making his return to the series last week, we have a fan favorite, certainly one of the founding fathers of this series, you could argue, at least in terms of bringing the broadcast to the series. And he was the primary producer last season. He's joining me in the broadcast booth for the next couple of races this season. But he's back, Mr. Evan Wall. Welcome back to the booth. It's always a pleasure. And well, tonight we were there together last season at that Atlanta race where Ricky Hart Jr. won. But I remember in that race, so many drivers led. A lot of it as a result of tire wear. So at a tire wear race like we kind of had with Homestead Miami, how do you think that's going to change the race tonight, knowing that certain guys are only going to be so quick at the start of a stint before they really start to fall off late?
Well, I think it's going to be a really big deal here, Marshall. You always see it at races like this and tracks like this, really. You can tell those guys that are fast and they're fast up front, but there's not necessarily going to be a driver that dominates all day. There's going to be drivers that come out in the front, they look really strong, they do well, and there's going to be the drivers that do well later in a run, that they're able to save their tires better, they're able to run more consistent laps, if not the fastest. So that's why I think I love Atlanta Motor Speedway, and I think a lot of drivers love this. It's just the tire degradation that this track has, the rough surface, and unfortunately they're having to repave it in real life, but luckily that's what we have iRacing for. We can still race it, even though currently in real life this track is torn up. They're working on repaving the surface, but luckily through iRacing we're able to keep this worn out old surface of Atlanta that we can race on at least a couple more times, or well, not a couple more times, we can race on it as much as we want. But we've got this worn out surface. It's going to be a lot of fun, and you're really going to have to watch that tire wear here tonight, like you mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those tracks, certainly, that you don't really need to lead that many laps to be quick at. I mean, we saw it with Ricky Hart Jr. last year. He did not lead a significant portion of the race last season, and I mean, we'll see if the case is the same tonight, where maybe somebody who's very quick throughout most of the race doesn't end up coming home with the W. But before we get on to the rest of our pre-show festivities, before we put up the points and get into tonight's race proper, we got 3 more minutes left in practice. You see on screen right now, here's Willie Evernham, Jonathan Platt, and I believe that is... not catching who that driver in the background is there, so there's somebody else in that fight. Oh, it's Jason Greenwell, actually. Jason Greenwell. We'll talk a little bit more about his paint scheme in a little bit, because, well, there's a whole story behind that. But for now, first, we got to hear about last week's race. Last week, of course, we had our first road course of the season at Daytona Road Course, and, well, I won't spoil too much who happened to win that one, but you might be able to guess. We'll go there quickly and give you some info about last week's race if you happen to miss it. In the Stay Off My Grass 40 at Daytona Road Course, we started off the road course portion of our season. Always one of my favorites, but I know it's certainly easier to tackle than, or harder to tackle than it would seem. But here was your race start. Nick Nickerson and Aaron Smith were your front row. Aaron Smith, there was a lot of press around him coming into this series, or particularly this one race, because he's supposed to have plenty of road course ability. Down into the first turn, he was showing some of that ability. Nice and late on the brakes, a nice wide entry. You see in the background there, Brett Guzik and Kevin Foster started on row 2. They were off to a good start. But our first main interruption of the race, our first proper incident, was Christopher Ferrara going around there on the exit of the turn 4 hairpin. He gets into Willie Evernham, who's just kind of an innocent bystander in the background. Another incident early on the first lap, Tony Hilbrandt's going into the world-famous bus stop. He would get a bit of a tap, lock up, and just get sent there into that outside barrier. But Aaron Smith, as you can see here, keeping up with Nick Nickerson towards the beginning of the race for about 5 to 10 laps. He was about a second back. He was in the pack there with Nick Nickerson, not letting him get too far ahead, but that would soon change. A couple laps later after that, Davey Hendricks and Nolan Gross, who were having a great battle till that point. Nolan Gross locks up the back end, slides through that final chicane there at Daytona. He would get into him, and well, the two would not be happy, but they would both continue on, and not too much issue after that. Curtis Yancey would slide under for the third position that he would eventually hold on to on Brett Guzik through the bus stop. But here was probably the moment of the race, the full send move of the race, if you will. Aaron Smith, what a dodge to avoid Jason Greenwell as he merged back onto the track. Aaron Smith proving his abilities there, even if he couldn't go for the win. He was doing whatever he could to make some flashy moves. Speaking of flashy moves, Connor Sawyer, a great outside pass here around the outside of the kink there. It's turn 7 there in the infield. And this is Cody Welch. He was having a good race to this point. I believe he was running 7th at the time, and unfortunately he would go around in turn 1, ending his hopes for a top 5. But Nick Nickerson, I mean, we talked about Aaron Smith. We were really hyping him up, and he's going to be great all season. I can't wait to see his second attempt at Road America. But it would be Nick Nickerson getting his first win of the season, his first since, I think, 3 races to go in the last season's championship. The defending champion would get his first win and lock themselves into the playoffs. And then it would be Aaron Smith, Curtis Yancey rounding off the podium, and Brett Guzik and Kevin Foster would round off your top 5. It was such a good race, Evan, and I think really the part that stands out to me as being the most exciting about it was, you know, we did see some new faces for sure that we were maybe underrating going into that race in terms of the road course side of things. I mean, Alex Bowser was one of the names that stood out to me as somebody that, you know, really kind of made a name for themselves there and ran up front most of the race. We'll see if we can find him on track if he's still out. But actually, we were just going into qualifying, so we will have to take a moment to keep up on that side of the of tonight's festivities. But yeah, Evan, so, you know, watching Alex Bowser, there he is. It just happened to throw right to him as we got going. But yeah, is there anybody tonight, you know, knowing what we saw at Miami, there were a couple drivers like a Cale Zook who kind of stood out as making a name for themselves. Is there anybody you've noticed in the background, or anybody that maybe has gone under the radar to this point that you think could be a legitimate threat in tonight's event?
Well, you know, not really somebody that's gone under the radar because we talked about him plenty at Daytona, but Aaron Smith, I mean, he was the driver profile last week, and he was kind of we thought he was going to kind of be the road course guy, but I think he might have something to bring to this race here tonight as well. He has one of the quickest practice times. He's up there right below Kevin Foster and right above Nick Nickerson in the practice times. You never can go by that. You never know what people were around in their practice laps, how many of these drivers ran a clean lap. So I'm excited to see his qualifying time, but he does have a really quick practice time up there. And so that 42 truck is definitely one that I'm going to be watching. But Tony Hilbrands, you know, we haven't seen a lot of him. He's doing really well up there in the practice times. So is the 27 of Michael Ramos. So he's going to be one to keep an eye on as well. We've seen him. He seems to either be a middle of the pack guy or he's competing for a win. It really just depends on what the day is for that 27 truck. So we'll see what kind of day it is for him, and maybe he'll be up here competing for the win.
Yeah, a couple guys there definitely through the field that have proven oval pace in the past. Remember, Michael Ramos was on pole at Charlotte last season. Tony Hilbrands has been quick in the past, and we'll see if he can transfer that ability over tonight. Here's Davey Hendricks right now in the 21 truck, and the M&M's entry was one of the fan favorites last season and certainly had his fair share of great results. But now is the question, can he translate it over to the trucks? And after almost winning the season opener at Daytona, he comes back tonight and is flying out there in qualifying. Jonathan Platt runs an almost identical lap time in the 43 truck. Now, Tony Hilbrands, just as we talk about him, the 92 goes to the top of the leaderboard. Great start for these guys. And well, the question is, Ricky Hart Jr., last season's winner at this particular race, as well as Nick Nickerson, always a threat. Nick goes second, puts the 2 truck in the number 2 spot. Guys like that, you definitely got to think are going to pop up sooner rather than later and, you know, get their way into the top 5. But for right now, Mason Flagar in third. There's a lap time. Great job by the 72 truck. He's off to a flying start, and there goes Kevin Foster up to the 4th spot. So it'll be Nick Nickerson and Kevin Foster, the affiliate teammates, in 2nd and 4th on the grid.
Yeah, great job from Mason Flagar. A really good lap from him. He's a driver that we definitely see some potential in. What we've seen throughout our whole, since he's been here in the Bandit Racing League, he's had a lot of potential, but he just can't always maximize it when it comes to race day. So if he really just needs to string together a good race, and once he can do that, I feel like, you know, maybe get a little bit of confidence up, and the good finishes will keep coming. But he has that potential. We see that glimmer of spark in him. So I expect at some point that 72 truck is going to have a nice, good finish up front. But you talked about Jonathan Platt also sitting in 8th right now. I don't know exactly where he's from, but I know he's got Georgia Bulldogs on the hood of that truck. So possibly a hometown race for the 43 truck. I'm not that big of a Georgia fan myself, big Alabama guy, but So, I can't really be rooting for him, but, you always love to see the hometown guy win, even if it is somebody over from Georgia.
Well, I can't personally speak to the Georgia-Alabama rivalry, but what I can tell you is that it's a great-looking truck. Whenever guys run these special liveries for certain events, it always turns out well, and they always look great. And well, speaking of graphic design, as we see there, the first thing my eyes jump to in this graphic is graphic design by Evan Wall Media. So we'll show you right out at the beginning here as we look at our playoff outlook following the third round at Daytona Road Course. Here is the playoff situation going into tonight's event. 3 drivers have won a race and thus are locked into the playoffs at this point. Those are Nick Nickerson, who won last week, Brandon Jackson, who won at Miami, and Trey Ellis, who won the season opener at Daytona. So those 3 guys will find themselves hopefully locked into the playoffs, provided they make a certain number of race appearances. But then the top 12 in points will also currently make it into the playoffs. So that's Kevin Foster, Cody Welch, Davey Hendricks, Curtis Yancey, Brett Kuzek, Connor Swear, Mark Allen Bivens, Ricky Hart Jr., Nolan Gross, Robert Mathis, Aaron Smith, and Tony Hilbrands. And then the 3 just below the cutoff are Alex Bowser, Willie Evernham, and Garrett Hall. So there's your situation going into tonight. We'll post the proper points here in just a moment. That way I don't forget like last week. We don't leave it to the very last second. And it's always nicer to have it. There's the information about tonight's race, but we got a proper graphic for that. So we will wait and do that in just a minute. But here are the championship points heading into tonight's event. Championship points and all this info is sponsored by Perfect Shine Auto Spa. They're going to be a sponsor all season. They're going to be a recurring theme throughout the year, so we'll try to have a better graphic for them ready to go next season. But presented by Perfect Shine Auto Spa, here are your points going into tonight's event, as we can also get ready to put up your qualifying results, your race grid to get ready for tonight's race. But there are the top 18 in points. Kevin Foster currently leads with 125. No wins yet, but some really consistent performances throughout the year, as well as Cody Welch and Davey Hendricks. None of those 3 drivers have a win to this point in the season, but they all had wins in the last 2 seasons, or at least previously in the Bandit Racing League. So we know that's not going to last much longer. Surely one of them will pick up a win sooner rather than later, and maybe it could be as soon as tonight. Just very quickly want to show you a little bit further. So there is down to 28th, and there is down to 38th. So there are your positions for tonight. We'll post the results here for qualifying. Get ready to go here for tonight's event. I don't know why this is paused on screen. I'd like it if it would go away. Huh, okay. I don't know if it's paused on your screens as well, but hopefully that gets out of the way. It is not. I don't know what's happening, so I might have to relaunch things momentarily. But before we go to your starting grid, which we need to do very quickly, let's just quickly remind you, tonight's sponsor is Rogue Energy, and they're going to be the sponsor for every race in this triple header this season. And the triple header is a mini championship that has its mini points format and its own prizes, but we'll talk about that going forward. And remember to register for the trivia. The information about that is in the comments section. So I do not know why this is stuck, but we got to get going. So let's just go through your grid here, Evan. You and I can figure it out even if the graphic isn't perfect. Aaron Smith tonight, late in the race. You talked about him just a moment ago, Evan. He picked up the pole there right at the last second, so he is tonight's pole sitter on the outside row. It is Nick Nickerson there in the front row for one of many times in this series. After that, Ricky Hart Jr. on the inside of row number 2, last year's winner at Atlanta. Brett Guzik will start in 4th. We got Brandon Jackson starting 5th, Mason Flagar starting 6th, Kevin Foster 7th, Davey Hendricks 8th, Tony Hilbrands 9th, and Jonathan Platt will round off the top 10. Oh, I'm not sure if we still have Evan Wall, but hopefully he's still there in the background. Yeah, there are graphics all over the screen. I will very quickly reload this because we got to get ready to go. Ready to get the 4th race start of the season going. Thing's still not liking to reload. Come on, take that down. I don't know why that thing is stuck, but we will get it figured out momentarily. For now, we got to go.
Sorry about that. Not sure where I went for a second, but yeah, getting ready to go green here. A little bit of technical difficulties, but the green flag is flying here at Atlanta.
It is indeed. Green flag. A great jump on the outside from Nick Nickerson. He goes right around the 42 truck of Aaron Smith, who's now getting a push from Ricky Hart Jr. Brandon Action Jackson, where did he come from? Down to the bottom, forces a 3 wide right into turn 1. Now through turn 2, still 3 wide on the exit.
Yeah, 3 wide coming onto the back stretch. Brandon Jackson is down there on the bottom. 3 wide still on the bottom. Out front is Aaron Smith, though. Keeping it up out front, the 2 car of Nick Nickerson up on the top. And Brandon Jackson's going to move into 2nd place, but watch out for Ricky Hart Jr. He's back down to the inside. A little bit of a push.
Whoa, right in the outside, trying to get stuff figured out. Nick Nickerson just did a sweet drift. Jonathan Platt's on the apron. What a start we're off to tonight at Atlanta. Now to the inside, Brett Guzik's moving up. Your timing tower info will be wrong, so don't look at that. I'm just trying to pull everything down. How do we even keep up with this so far? Aaron Smith, still your leader, trying to pull away with the chaos, but Hart and Jackson on the outside line, Guzik and Nickerson on the inside. And we are still going a little ways further back. Kevin Foster's trying to work his way into this battle. Just what a start. We're still 3 wide.
Yeah, there may be some technical difficulties here on the broadcast, but great racing on track, as I believe we're going to have a caution come out in just a second. We should. At least there's some trouble on the front straightaway. But Aaron Smith still going to be the driver out front. Ricky Hart Jr. in second. The 99 of Brandon Jackson holding in third.
Yeah, still no caution as of yet, but they are going to be manually called tonight, so hopefully we get one sooner rather than later.
I think they got it cleared up there. A couple
Weird.
of drivers spun, it looks like to me, but I believe I just saw a couple drivers sideways, but they were able to save it up, as there's going to be a caution. The 72 truck of Mason Flagar, and a big pile up here on the back straightaway. A lot of cars going to be involved.
Yeah, a number of trucks involved there. There is a huge accident. After so many laps, 3 laps in a row of 3 wide to start off the race, you had to think, Evan, that was happening sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't surprise me. As aggressive as these guys were racing, it really does not surprise me at all. I knew it was going to come before too long, but yeah, that just a big wreck there. A lot of trucks going to be involved, but luckily, they've got the fast repairs. They can get it taken care of.
Let's get you one more replay of what happened there, but... So this is Garrett Hall on the 26, coming off of turn number 2. You see up there, that's Peter Murphy. Yeah, something in front. They were trying to avoid, that's the 55 truck. I believe that's Connor Zook was the one that kind of kicked us all off, so we'll go to a replay there. There's the 55 right in front of the 4 of Trey Ellis, winner at Daytona. So yeah, something even further up. Yeah, it was Mason Flagar that kind of kicked that whole thing off, so we'll try one more time. So yeah, Mason Flagar got loose on the exit at 2, washed up into the wall, spun in front of the pack, and for the most part, people did a good job of getting out of the way, but yeah, Connor Zook in the 55 just lost the back end there trying to get out of the way, and unfortunately that was all it took to slide himself in front of the field, and now here we are with the first caution of the day.
Yeah, and because of that, a couple of guys on pit road. Of course, the 72 is on pit road, 26, 44, 55, the 4 truck, the 08, the 24, the 00, a good bit of guys all on pit road trying to get their pit service taken care of, and hopefully we can get this broadcast straightened out here in just a second.
Yeah, speaking of, we're going to briefly go to a brief break. We're just going to throw up some technical difficulties graphics, and we'll be back in just a second. We'll try to get things figured out for you, and by the time we go green, hopefully we're all good to go.
Yeah, luckily I had the forethought to when I was making graphics, I figured I would make a technical difficulty graphic just in case. I know I had my fair share of technical difficulties, and I always wish that I just had a graphic that I could throw up there, and so thankfully I did have one that I could throw up there. But if you want to go ahead and take a look at a driver during today's race, since we have a little bit of technical difficulties, if you want to go ahead and check out Brandon Jackson, you can go over to twitch.tv/streetboss24. Now, warning, I wouldn't watch that if you are a small child or if you have any small children around you. There definitely some explicit content over on that Twitch channel, but if you are interested, I always love to shout out Brandon Jackson's Twitch channels, as well as anybody else who is on Twitch and streaming the Bandit Racing League. So for some of you drivers that watch later, if you want to go ahead and let me know who is streaming, I can go ahead possibly shout you out in some other broadcasts. I love to go ahead and just let everyone know what's going on. But did you get it fixed, Marshall?
We did. We are back. Look at that. Not too bad. Didn't take too long, and man, it's a shame because, like, Evan, I don't know about you, that may have been the best 5 opening laps of a race I've seen in a very long time.
Honestly, I think it was. That was a really great time. That was a lot of fun, and you know what? If they did that in the 5 opening laps, what is this next 95 laps going to be? I feel like it's going to be a lot of fun. You are not going to want to miss it here tonight at Atlanta. I thought the trivia was going to be the most fun part of the night, but no, I think this racing's going to be even better.
Speaking of trivia, we haven't had time to get to that because we've had all this chaos, but we got one lap to go here under yellow as we wait for the conclusion of that last caution to finish up and get the track all cleaned off. So that brings us to our trivia contest. Welcome to the opening trivia contest round of our well, what might become a recurring theme, but for now is a one-time thing. So remember, to enter in the trivia contest, you have all race as long as you're still watching. You got to email your YouTube name and as well as your full name, your actual official name to crocm6791@gmail.com. It's my secondary email. It's the one we'll be using for this. If you need more information or you want to know how that's spelt, go to the description there, and you'll have all the information you need to enter the contest. But remember, when you answer in the chat, you're going to answer with either a yes or a no for one question, or you're going to answer with the letter that corresponds to the answer you're giving. So in the case of a multiple choice question, if the answer was A, you put A in the chat. And as long as you comment, we can see when the comments come in, but as long as you comment within 5 minutes of the question being asked, your correct answer will count. Now we can go to your first question of Trivia Night, and there it is. There is question number 1. So in the YouTube chat, those of you in the trivia contest are going to enter the correct letter that corresponds to the correct answer. So the first question, which of the following drivers holds the nickname Action? A, Aaron Smith, B, Brandon Jackson, C, Benjamin Lacey, or D, Connor Sawyer. So there you go. Might be an easy one for some of those of you who've stuck around for a while. I think I even said it earlier, but we'll start it off a little bit simpler, though we don't have much more time to talk about that. So there is your trivia question, but here is the first restart of the night. Aaron Smith, quick in the jump zone, so he is getting ready to go. Ricky Hart Jr. on the outside is off too. Jackson not too far behind, but green flag for the first time without a graphic in the way, and tonight's event in Atlanta.
And just as good racing here. A couple of our race control warning to not cross before the start finish line. Guys are getting really racy, even all the way back into the pack. This is going to be a really fun time down onto the back stretch. Aaron Smith still with the lead out front. Action Jackson down to the inside of Ricky Hart Jr.
Looking a little ways back, Brett Guzik, who is off to a good start here. He's not too far behind Nick Nickerson, who is still trying to cycle in there behind Ricky Hart Jr. Maybe go with him if he happens to find any ground up on Aaron Smith up front. Kevin Foster in the middle trying to kind of keep the bridge between those two packs here. And right behind, Cody Welch is just to the outside of Tony Hilbrands. But back up front, Ricky Hart Jr. underneath through turn number 2 might go to the point. He's down to the inside. Aaron Smith, it's opportunity to be on the top line here later in the run, but in terms of the flat-out pace, that lower line might get Ricky Hart Jr. the lead.
Yeah, I feel like that top run is going to really, or that top line is going to really come in later in the run, but a little bit earlier, you're going to want to be on the bottom. That's going to be the faster line at least. I don't know which one's going to be better on tires, but I feel like that bottom line is definitely going to be faster, and that's where Ricky Hart Jr. is right now, looking to take the lead. I believe he's going to be able to do it.
Aaron Smith, though, still with a good run from the outside line. Looked like he was having help there for just a brief moment from Nick Nickerson, but now he's slotted in behind Ricky Hart Jr. A little ways back, Brandon Jackson, Brett Guzik were dueling for a brief moment. Now Nick is to the bottom of Aaron Smith, so trying to go with the 64, Ricky Hart Jr. push his way through, and, well, Nick knows how quick Aaron is at his road courses, so maybe he's trying to get the upper hand on him as soon as he can at the ovals, get some valuable points in the championship. But Brandon Jackson, still him and Brett Guzik working together to great effect, and now here comes Kevin Foster and Davey Hendricks.
Yeah, some great racing up front. A lot of fun. Aaron Smith Jr. doing a great, or Aaron Smith II doing a great job to hold on to that first position. Ricky Hart Jr. still there in second, but falling back a little bit now. Aaron Smith, that 42 truck seems to be pulling away, but side by side, it's the 2 and the 99 going to be for third position. The 04 and Brett Guzik right behind them.
Yeah, Aaron Smith has been the only guy that seems to be consistently able to stay up front with whatever he's doing with his line. He doesn't seem to be having any trouble whatsoever staying ahead by himself, whereas when Ricky kind of got to the front, was really having trouble keeping up enough pace to maintain himself at the front of the field. And now we see Ricky Hart still going to go to the bottom. Nick Nickerson, I think, trying to move up to the top line just to try to conserve those tires over the course of the run. We're 13 laps in. Should be about 3 pit stops here at Atlanta, but, well, for the time being, nobody's really thinking about the tires, it would seem. Guys just want to go, go, go. Nick Nickerson puts the 2 car in the second spot, and Jackson might be trying to go with him.
Yeah, some of the best drivers here in the Bandit Racing League, and they're all behind the 42 truck. The guy that we thought was going to do great on road courses, here he is, out leading Atlanta. All these guys love Atlanta. Brandon Jackson, I know he loves Atlanta. It's his hometown track. He wants to come out here and win. And there's Brandon Jackson sitting all the way back in 5th position. The 04 Brett Guzik now getting in front of him, and Cody Welch right behind Brandon and looking to make the move on him. But yeah, Aaron Smith out front doing a great job up there.
He is indeed. Yeah, here comes Cody Welch. He's a name that, well, I'm sure we can probably all guess we were going to see at some point tonight. He's one of those guys, probably the best driver in the series without a win so far this season. So he is doing whatever he can to push his way through. Up there on top, the lap car of Nick Korn and the number 24 trying to move by, get out of the way of these lap cars heading by. Brett Guzik now making his way through the field. He's down to the inside of Brendan Jackson, and I thought might get the 2 car through the tri-oval, but not to be for the time being.
Yeah, Guzik and Jackson side by side. Guzik all the way down there on the bottom. Brandon Jackson up on the top side. So is Nick Nickerson. But there's trouble in the back. We got one spinning.
We do indeed. That was Nick Korn, the lap truck I just talked about, the number 24. He's off to the inside line. He's on the apron, so he's out of the way and probably won't inspire a caution. Almost got hit by somebody. That was Connor Zook, I think. And the 55 truck kind of tapped him, and we may... No, we're still flat out, so... The admins who are in control of the cautions tonight decide not to call one in that particular instance because this battle is, well, it's too good to have a caution ruin it. Brett Guzik now. Again, a guy we talk a lot about, Evan, is somebody great in qualifying, but over those longer runs sometimes struggles, but it looks like he's finding more pace through the longer runs at this point.
Yeah, it does. And just real quick, the 44 truck down pit road, obviously, is there you see these guys going to be coming by pit road right now, but yeah, he's great in qualifying, but here he is. He's getting a little bit of rhythm during the race, and you know, sometimes you're good in qualifying. You just have to really get that rhythm, get that momentum, and be able to keep it up. We know he's a really good driver, and it's not surprising me that it's about time that he's getting some momentum in a race. I feel like this isn't going to be the last time you see that 04 up front.
There's a great battle going on here in the background we got to keep track of, and Jason Greenwell down to the inside. I said I'd talk about that truck later, but it's a reference to a slip-up I made last week, and he is putting that beautiful-looking 83 truck to good use. He is flying through the pack now, trying to chase down Kevin Foster, the points leader there on the inside, who's trying to chase down Davey Hendricks. On the outside line, Tony Hilbrens and Benjamin Lacey teaming up. Plenty of pace up there in that top line, and Jonathan Platt, the 43, not too far behind. And the one right behind that group is Brandon Jackson. What happened to the number 99?
Yeah, I do not know. I have no clue how he got back there so quickly, but you know what? He's not too far back. That shouldn't be too big of a problem, but yeah, a really good battle there for Kevin Foster and a great run from him. You know, Kevin Foster is doing so good in the point standings, as you mentioned. He's the points leader that doesn't have a win, and he's really doing everything he can to keep himself up there. That's one of the good things about this system, or this playoff system that they have. He doesn't necessarily have to worry about a win. If he feels comfortable coming in points racing, which we know Kevin Foster does, he's a really consistent guy, he can do that. Speaking of a really consistent guy, Cody Welch, there he is attacking the 64 trucker Ricky Hart Jr., maybe looking to his outside. That's one of the most consistent guys that we see week in and week out. And here he is looking to make a move on Ricky Hart Jr., heading to his inside. Heading to the inside of Brett Guzik now. Maybe 3 wide? Not exactly. He's down there on the bottom trying to make something happen.
Oh yeah, you can tell he thought about it. And Cody Welch, somebody that hasn't traditionally been over-aggressive to the point where it doesn't pay off. So hopefully he just kind of takes his time here, lets the race come to him. And the race last season went cautionless in Season 8 at Atlanta. We, of course, had one early in the race that brought out the first of our day and was the result, or the opportunity we needed to fix our issues. But yeah, genuinely a chance we don't get another one tonight. So maybe tonight, Evan, more so than other races where you can kind of expect cautions to come out, you might want to really battle for positions early tonight.
Yeah, these guys are definitely battling for position. The 7 truck of Benjamin Lacey's to the inside of Tony Hilbrand's back a little bit further. And right behind them, the 99 of Brandon Jackson is under the 43 of Jonathan Platt. Those are some really fast drivers, and they're what you're showing on screen right now, the 64 of Ricky Hart Jr. And the 72 car on the back straightaway is going to be turned around. It looks like he's going to be able to get it back going. There shouldn't be a caution, but the 72 car turned around again. I believe we saw him around once earlier.
Yeah, it doesn't look like significant damage to the 72, but you're right. It's one of a couple issues he's had today so far in the race. So still no caution, though, as of yet. Here's Benjamin Lacey as he comes out of turn number 2. He's embroiled in a battle with Tony Hilbrand, and I believe Jonathan Platt right behind is still somewhat in the battle. And, you know, Brandon Jackson, since he kind of stalled out, dropped back to 12th there after qualifying in the second row earlier, he's kind of righted the ship at this point. I'm wondering if maybe just got thrown off the line in one particular corner, because now, right behind this battle, trying to find a way past the 2-wide tandem of Jonathan Platt and Benjamin Lacey.
Yeah, that's what's been lucky about the accidents today. Of course, there was that one big accident, but other than that, we've seen a couple of guys go around, but luckily they were able to keep it to themselves, and they were they were able to get their truck back up and rolling, able to get it moving again, back to pit lane or reset, whatever they need to do to just get it out of the way so that these guys can stay green. And we've been really lucky with that tonight, especially for as many cars as we've got out here.
Looking at ways back further in the field, trying to find a couple other battles. Here is Hunter Henry battling with Alex Bowser. We talked about how well Alex Bowser did last week, finishing in, I believe, 7th at Daytona Road Course. So there was a great performance with a 36, and right now still up there in 17th, so top half of the field. And he is side by side with Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry trying to find his way around on the top side. The guy that I always call the fan favorite. One of the, again, the few things that I say about each driver every particular race, and I know he's got a great support there on the YouTube side of things. And now he makes the move, and Alex Bowser, he is going to go around. Now it becomes Peter Murphy's turn to try to find his way around the 36.
Yeah, nice little battle there. But you know what's not a nice little battle? That 42 truck up front. He's pulling away from Nick Nickerson there in second position. He's doing a great job. And he is pulling away down the back straightaway. But we got some problem. The 92 and the 43 going to be getting together. Both of those guys keeping it clean, but a big bump there, the 92 and the 43. The 99 almost got involved with it, but luckily all three of those trucks able to keep it clean.
Great job by those guys. It's easy to get involved, and they're almost getting a wreck, but it's very difficult to save it. And Tony Hilbrand's keeping his chance to get some good points tonight alive. Once you get in a wreck here, especially if it doesn't go yellow, your chances get virtually ruined. So he's going to drop back currently in 17th, but keeps it on track, keeps it going. And up front a little ways, David Lakey now battling with Brandon Jackson at the outside. The 99 still in 12th, despite a spot going by from Tony Hilbrand's troubles. But now he's going to get by, and right behind him, David Lakey running a new truck tonight in the 84. I love that livery, one of the best in the series. So just wanted to get a quick chance to shout that out. But a little ways further forward, Kevin Foster, he is embroiled in a battle with Jason Greenwell, who again currently in 8th. This is kind of like Alex Bowser last week, kind of a star-making performance, isn't it, Evan? We haven't seen him this far up in quite a long time.
Yeah, he really has he's been having a great run tonight. Goodness, I cannot talk so far, but a great run tonight from him. And there you can see, yeah, the 8 truck of Kevin Foster, a great run from him, and the 83, both of those guys having really good runs. Of course, we've seen the 8 do good, but you know, last season we saw him do good in a couple races, but he didn't have that consistency. So far this season, we've really seen him have that consistency, and I feel like he's going to keep it up.
Here, just very quickly, is the second trivia question. Has a driver finished on the podium twice in Bandit Racing League Season 9 so far in the first 3 races? Yes or no, and that'll be the answer to the next question. But right now, back in the race, Ricky Hart Jr. getting the move done confidently under the inside of Nick Nickerson, who maybe his tires starting to go quicker than the guys around him, because Davey Hendricks coming with him. Davey Hendricks currently in 6th, trying to find his way into the top 5, and here comes the 21 truck down into turn number 1.
Yeah, talking about trivia, that question, when you asked it to me, it really tripped me up. I did not know the answer. I could not remember the answer, but yeah, a great battle on track right here. And this is when you're really going to have to watch the drivers. This is when it's really going to be interesting, because guys are going to be coming down pit road fairly soon. It shouldn't be too much longer, but this is when you're really going to see the tires take into account, as the 42 is going to be coming on pit road right now. But this is when tires are really going to start mattering. You're going to see the guys who were able to save it. You're going to see the guys who weren't able to save it. This is when it's going to be interesting, and if there are going to be accidents, they'll be right now.
They will indeed. As cars start to come onto pit road, that's when we can often see, well, plenty of troubles coming up. As you know, when you're merging off and going from such a quick pace on the oval to such a slow pace in the pits, it can throw off the guys behind you. So you got to be very clear to communicate to those around you, and hopefully that's what we see from every driver tonight. But here come the other leaders. Brett Guzik down pit road now. Cody Welch going with him. Davey Hendricks going to stay. Whoa, Cody Welch. Huge lock up there on the back tires. He manages to get the car righted and gets down pit road. Hopefully no speeding penalty for him, but finds a way into pit road. Ricky Hart's coming with him. Nick Nickerson as well. Kevin Foster right behind his fellow teammate, running a very similar big red propane livery. And up front, Davey Hendricks, the 21 truck, takes the lead as he is the final driver in the top 5 there that last lap to stay out of the pits and go for a couple more laps in that set of tires.
Yeah, pit road is a busy, busy place. A lot of drivers coming down pit road, and there you see the 21 hopping down onto pit road right now, electing to stay out a lap later. The 83 come down as well, so is the 38 and the 36 truck. A couple other guys as well. A lot of guys coming down pit road.
That means the final driver still on the lead lap, still on track, is Spencer Breslin on the 16 truck. I don't know if he took fuel on that last pit stop, but Interesting to note, because if he can make it this far on, well, a relatively long stint here on one tank of fuel, which, no, he has taken a pit stop. He did pit on lap 6, so I was curious. If he could go 33 laps on a set of fuel, you can make this race a two-stopper as opposed to the three-stopper we were expecting, and if we don't get a caution at the end of the race, that would be huge. But now, Aaron Smith cycles back out to the lead, but the question is, where will Davey Hendricks cycle out? Because he was not second when we came into the pits, but it looks like, depending on how quick Cody Welch's outlap is, he might get second, but no, Cody Welch does get by, so the 85 truck up into second place.
Yeah, always hard when you're trying to beat Cody Welch. That 85 truck is quick, and he was able to win it out there. But yeah, Spencer Breslin up front, Evernham right now in second. Then you got Matt Crockett. And Crockett, one of those guys, he's on pit road now, but he's one of those guys that I want to shout out. He's running a beautiful Atlanta Braves paint scheme today on his truck. I am an Atlanta Braves fan, even though I don't like the Georgia Bulldogs. I do like the Braves, and a beautiful paint scheme on that 10 truck, and just glad to have us here racing with us today. He went through surgery a little bit earlier today and he's recovered. He's through recovery. I don't know how he's feeling. I'm sure he can't be feeling great, but he loves Atlanta and he wanted to come out here and race tonight, and we're really excited to have him, really happy to have him racing here tonight with us.
That is the racer's mentality. Yeah, it's great to hear that Matt Crockett's doing okay, and yeah, I wish him the best of luck for the remainder of this race. We're almost halfway through, though, so not a ton of time left for him. Spencer Breslin, I was talking about a moment ago, he pitted on lap 6. He was your race leader and has now come into pit road, so Aaron Smith should now cycle back out to the lead. And, well, we always get requests to talk about some drivers further back in the pack, and we got some great battles back there going on right now. This is Victor Weaver trying to chase down Tony Hilbrands there in the number 92 truck, and right behind him, the 84, as I mentioned earlier, great new paint scheme for David Lakey. He's right behind and trying to make his way into the battle. But Victor Weaver, he's had some good performances in the past, and right now chasing down Tony Hilbrands, one of the bigger fish in the series, certainly one of the bigger names you could see back down there in 17th, but he's kind of found himself right in the middle. It's a nice paint scheme for the 23, and he's putting it to good use, just comfortably sitting there in the middle. He's got a good line that should conserve tires, so keep an eye on Victor Weaver.
Yeah, I'm really trying to keep my eye on so many guys here. It's so great to have a race that's so full with so many drivers, but not only so many drivers, so many good drivers and so many interesting drivers. But I feel like we need to go ahead and mention again that 42 truck still out front and 4 seconds ahead of Cody Welch right now.
Yeah, Aaron Smith, I mean, he's doing what we thought he might do last week at the road courses. None of us were expecting him to come to the Oval here at Atlanta and just dominate as he has, but looks like he knows the track pretty well, or something is just working for the 42 truck tonight. And, you know, this is kind of it. I talk about whenever we talk about Nick Nickerson and we try to, you know, play him off as just a road course guy. Well, that's not fair to him because he's got other skill sets, and clearly Aaron Smith does too. What a way to prove yourself as an oval driver. And he is just chugging up front, weaving his way through lap traffic. Here's a little ways further back. Nick Nickerson trying to chase down Ricky Hart ahead, and Davey Hendricks behind is trying to make his way up towards those two guys. He was, I think, going to funnel out third. And maybe just a slow pit out lap that bumped him back a little ways, but he was quick into the pits, so he has found himself in this battle. And Kevin Foster right behind, kind of the last guy within about 10 seconds of Aaron Smith up front. The 8 truck just kind of finding himself in the middle, might just barely have the draft and Davey Hendricks up ahead, but certainly not quite far ahead enough to be a factor in this battle for the top 5.
Yeah, I don't know if he really cares about being too much of a factor in that battle, though, because, you know, right now it's a really good time to just hang in and save tires. It's lap 39 of 100. You've got plenty of time to go, and you have to assume that there's going to be another caution with as many drivers as there are and aggressive as they are. And speaking of that, it looks like we're going to have another caution right here. I don't know who is that going around. Michael Ramos upside down on the back straightaway.
Yeah, Michael Ramos, end over end. He saw him kind of get loose, and then it was Bill Harkins up top that made contact with the wall. There is the caution. It was only a matter of time. Yeah, wow, what a colossal wreck. Let's go to the replay here and just get another view of how that started. But yeah, it was Bill Harkins there that kind of kicked that off, got a little bit loose there on the exit of turn number 2. And that kind of got things started. Let's try to pull that up here. Just a moment. There we go. We are ready to go. So, yeah, let's just see a replay of what happened there exactly to Michael Ramos in the 27. We had an eye on him. That's a little bit too early. Gotta go back a little ways there. But yeah, you see considerable roll there he took when he got hit by another truck. I think that was Gary Wright in the 6, but here we go. So yeah, you see up top, Bill Harkins is bouncing off the outside wall. Maybe lost a little bit of grip there as he took the exit. And yeah, Gary Wright just lambasted the side of Michael Ramos and then hit the outside wall, hit the inside wall, bounced into him. Trey Ellis as well, I believe, was involved there in the background. But let's get another view of that from the perspective of Bill Harkins, because he would have certainly had a front row seat to that whole exchange.
Yeah, huge accident right there, and unfortunate for all those guys. We saw that happen, or I saw that happen to Tony Hilbrands a little bit earlier. I talked about it. He just bounced up off of that outside wall. Luckily, there wasn't anybody down there to his inside, but really nothing that Ramos could do. Bill Harkins he got up there a little bit too high, bounced off that wall, and really nothing for him to do because he hits that wall and just bounces down, and nothing for Ramos to do as he just bounced down right in front of him. And really nowhere for those drivers to go, just a race and incident, up into the wall, bouncing down, and making the contact there.
Well, it has been a hectic race to this point. Lap 42, leader 42, Aaron Smith. Well, there goes his gap he had made. He had about a 4-second lead there by the time we got the yellow up to head to Cody Welch. Definitely a guy that you want to have a good gap to behind. So he'll be sad to see the caution come out, but I'm sure there will be plenty of guys that were just barely on the lead lap that'll definitely be happy to have that come out. So Kevin Foster, Tony Hilbrands, that is not there. He is Tony Hilbrands, Benjamin Lacey, Mark Allen Bivens all coming down pit road. Some interesting timing in the grand scheme of things. This should possibly cut a pit stop, but tires are not so much of a question tonight. I mean, definitely tire wear is a big thing, but you've got 3 sets. You should be able to take 1 set on every pit stop. So unlike last week at Daytona where you had 1 pit stop where you weren't taking tires, you should be able to take 1 every single stop tonight, which I'm sure will kind of relieve the drivers a little bit. But while we have a moment, I wasn't necessarily expecting to get another caution, but I'm glad we did, because it'll give us a moment to put up your third trivia question. So that's the first thing we'll do. Trivia question number 3. Which Bandit Racing League Season 9 rookie has the most points to this point in the season? So in the first 3 rounds, who has the most points, who is a rookie in the series? And just to give you some tips, all 4 of these drivers are rookies. So it's not a trick question in that sense. But your 4 options are Willie Evernham is A, B is Aaron Smith, C is Nolan Gross, and D is Jason Stewart. So which of the 4 drivers do you think has the most points to this point in the season? But the other thing we should probably do, and well, we're going to go to in a quick moment to talk more about tonight's sponsor, Rogue Energy, but I also want to go to tonight's track preview. Let's just pull that up. There is so much stuff on my screen right now. There we go. So, Evan, do you want to kind of walk us through the track preview while we have a moment?
Yeah, so we're here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, obviously, and you've seen the racing here. It was opened in 1960, 1.54 miles long, and 100 laps tonight, so we're running 154 miles. Last year, of course, the winner was Ricky Hart Jr., and he's running up front here tonight, but talking about open in 1960, it's open in 1960, and like every single track, tracks go through changes, they go through reconfigurations, and that's what Atlanta is doing right now. So we're running on, I guess, what you would call the current Atlanta Motor Speedway, but really the current Atlanta Motor Speedway in real life is being torn up. It's all dirt. They're bulldozing it in the middle of tearing it up. They're going to add a little bit more banking on the outsides, and they're going to repave the track. So that's what I love about iRacing, is that they have this track scanned. So even though you will never be able to race on this Atlanta Motor Speedway ever again, here on iRacing, we can race on this Atlanta Motor Speedway because it was laser scanned, and it is exactly like what Atlanta Motor Speedway used to be back a couple of months ago. And that's the good thing. A little bit later, we're going on to Texas, and we're running the Texas from, I believe, the 2009 era. So I love that that's something that we can do, and that's something that iRacing allows us to do. Later on down the road, a couple years from now, we may be running on the new Atlanta, and we decide that we want to run on the old Atlanta because this is just a beautiful, great track to run on. We can do that. We have iRacing that can do that, and you just got to shout out iRacing. It's a lovely service and a great thing that allows you to do that. But we're getting double filed up, ready to go back racing here.
We are indeed. The front row going to be made up of Aaron Smith and Cody Welch. And we had a question in the chat. Was Cody gaining on Smith from Mr. Brian DeChaney? Yes, I believe he was by very marginal amounts. But it looked like Aaron's kind of, pulling away lap by lap advantage he had in that first stint after the pit stops was taken away somewhat, at least there on the newer tires. So Cody Welch, got to wonder if by the time now that he's stacked up and he'll get a kind of second chance to go at him on an even playing field, maybe this will be Cody's opportunity to get win number 1 on the season, especially if we go green to the end. But row number 2, Nick Nickerson, Ricky Hart, the last 2 champions in the series. Jason Greenwell as well. His great night in the 83 truck continues. He is on the outside of row number 3 with Davey Hendricks to his inside. Brandon Jackson's back to 7th. Eddie Haggy doing a great job there in 8th. But here is your second restart of the night. Aaron Smith is the control car. Green flag for the 3rd time in tonight's event. and the opener of the Rogue Energy triple header here at Atlanta. And a great start for Aaron Smith. Again, he's just finding speed everywhere. He's looking untouchable, but further back, Cody Welch is going to lose a spot early to Ricky Hart, who jumps to the inside and takes over second place.
Yeah, Ricky Hart Jr. jumping up to second position. Cody Welch going to be in third. Davey Hendricks and Nick Nickerson going to be in fourth and fifth, respectively. But there's a little bit of a battle there. It's going to be 3 wide quickly. So I believe that's a lap car down there on the bottom. Not exactly sure. But the 21 and the 2 going to be side by side. Davey Hendricks and Nick Nickerson. And directly behind them, the 99 car, Brandon Jackson. That 99 truck, he's looking antsy. He wants to get by those two. He wants to get up front and lead some laps here at his home track.
Yeah, Brandon Jackson finally finding his way back through the field, and well, what a run he's got. He's trying to find a way past Nick Nickerson. He got a great slipstream there that last time through turn 2, so he's going to hop in behind the 21 of Davey Hendricks. He's going to put himself in the top 5, see if he can work his way a little ways further forward. Jason Greenwell and Eddie Hagee here having a good battle. The 83 truck of Jason Greenwell and the 97 of Eddie Hagee there. Eddie Hagee, this is a great performance for him, and he is up 13 spots from the race start, as well as Peter Murphy up 26 spots from 35th. He's currently 9th, trying to hold off Alex Bowser and David Leakey. And Hunter Henry isn't too far behind either.
Yeah, a lot of great racing all over track. And if we go a little bit further back, the 26, the 72. Oh, and the 72 into the wall. Just a little bit, but able to save it, able to keep it wrapped up. He was running that really high line up there, Mason Flagar was. We've seen him have a little bit of trouble tonight, but really just trying to stay out of the way, running that really high line, got into the wall a little bit. Luckily, everyone able to keep it clean, and now we're starting to single file out just a little bit.
Back up front, Davey Hendricks trying to dive down to the bottom of Ricky Hart Jr. Brandon Jackson still kind of stocking up on the top line. I think trying to save the tires a little bit better than he did on that last stint. Cody Welch down to the inside to turn 3. Aaron Smith, his reign over the front spot there, his reign over the lead might be over. Cody Welch down to the bottom through turns 3 and 4. Gets a great run off the corner, should be able to hold it through the tri-oval, but the 42 truck is coming back with a vengeance. A great run off the corner for Aaron Smith, and Cody Welch might not be out of the woods yet.
Yeah, huge run there, and side by side it's going to be the 85 and the 42 battling up front, and then behind them in the second row of battle as well. The 21 of Davey Hendricks is down there on the inside. The 64 car, Ricky Hart Jr. is up there on the outside, and side by side down the back straightaway, heading into turn 3, still side by side. The 42 of Smith with a little bit of advantage up there on the top, but the 85 hanging in strong directly behind them. Don't forget about the 99 car of Brandon Jackson. He's back there in 5th position, but he's here ready to attack.
He is. Might try to go 3 wide through turn number 1, decides to back off and think better of it. Cody Welch now might get stuck in the middle of a 3 wide himself. Davey Hendricks to his inside, Ricky Hart to his outside. They are going to try it, but no, Cody manages to clear the 21 in time, and as this battle continues, Evan, we're seeing that pack in behind. Jason Greenwell, Eddie Hagee, and Nick Nickerson, they are back, and Jason Greenwell might get a shove under the bottom of Brandon Jackson, the 83 truck, trying to get back into the top 5.
Yeah, and don't forget about Nick Nickerson. He's kind of just hanging out back there, hanging out in the 8th position. He knows that he's locked into the playoffs, so he doesn't have to do too much, but the thing is he's locked into the playoffs, so he doesn't care about points. All he cares about is going out there and getting that win. That's what he's trying to do, and we're halfway through this race here at Atlanta.
Yes, indeed. Starting to single file out finally. Guys are just deciding that maybe better to think about the long run rather than just go for every individual spot. Eddie Hagee now looks like the only driver there really committing to the bottom line. Now it's David Leakey battling with Benjamin Lacey, trying to make his way into the top 5, I believe, for the first time this season. Benjamin Lacey going to look to the bottom, so he'll take over the 11th spot. Alex Bowser not too far behind, with Hunter Henry not too far back as well. Spencer Breslin right on his tail, and Brett Guzik, who at some point in tonight's proceedings won a lap down. I saw him kind of dropping back throughout the course of the race, but really curious to know what happened to him. The 04 truck, again, we always talk about it doing well, and then something seems to go wrong. Ricky Hart Jr., though, down to the inside, a new contender for the 42 truck, and it's last year's winner at this very track, Ricky Hart Jr. in the 64.
Yeah, Ricky Hart Jr. is going to be your new leader, the 64 truck, but look out, the 42 diving back down to the inside. They're going to be side by side again as they head down into turn 1. The 42 down to the inside, and he looks like he's going to get the lead back. The 64 up to second position, but look out for the 21 of Davey Hendricks. He'll be coming up the middle.
This front 4 starting to break away again. Cody Welch in behind is the last truck there, kind of in the catbird seat, waiting for something to happen. We're still side by side between Hendricks and Smith. Smith now to the bottom, Hendricks up top. As the tires start to go and Smith has to kind of check up on the bottom, this might be the opportunity for Davey Hendricks to use those older tires to good use, and he's going to go around the top, gets the better run off the corner. Is he going to get down in front of him into turn number 1? He will. So Davey Hendricks comfortably clearing him, but Aaron Smith, though, fighting back. He's still in it. Cody Welch there up top. Brandon Jackson down below with Greenwell and Hilbrands chasing in behind.
Aaron Smith doing a great job to fight a really strong driver, and one that I really didn't expect, but doing a great job here at Atlanta. But here's the side-by-side battle. It's the 92 and the 83. 92 of Hilbrands and the 83 of, I believe, is that Greenwell?
Yep, that is.
Yeah, all right behind Brandon Jackson. There's the 7 of Lacey, all in this battle as well. The 92 is going to be looking down to the inside of Brandon Jackson. Side by side now, and it looks like the 92 is going to be able to come up with the position.
Up front, Davey Hendricks still side by side with Ricky Hart for the lead here. Over halfway through this race, but it feels like it's only been 10 laps of chaos. Davey Hendricks to the bottom. Again, we saw it a couple laps ago. I think that top line through 3 and 4, as long as you get a better run through the tri-oval, might help you stay ahead, but he's going to at least get side by side. Davey Hendricks down to the bottom. Aaron Smith coming into the pits very early into the stint, locking the tires up into pit road, but I don't think he'll accrue a speeding penalty. And again, just what a race we've had. Tony Hilbrands, where did he come from? Now he's to the inside of Cody Welch, taking over the 3rd spot.
Yeah, I feel like that 42 may have used up his tires a little bit quicker than he would have liked to. That's why you saw a couple of guys get past him, and that's one thing that you're really going to have to worry about. You're going to have to watch the guys that are good at saving tires.
Very quickly, there is your 4th trivia question. Who won the race at Atlanta in Bandit Racing League Season 8 last year? Nick Nickerson, Ricky Hart, Davey Hendricks, or Cody Welch? A, B, C, and D. Put the answer down there in the chat, and unfortunately, really haven't had enough time to talk about the contest, but just look at the racing we've been having. We still got a battle for the lead. Ricky Hart, I believe, no, he dropped back. What happened to the, I don't know if you caught it there, but what happened to the 64 truck? Just dropped out of this battle for the lead between himself and Davey Hendricks.
You know what? I really don't know. I was listening to the trivia question. I was paying attention to that, and I don't know what happened to him.
Benjamin Lacey now. Cody Welch, I think, as we go further and further in the stint, is having trouble keeping it up front, and he's now going to drop back a little ways. So he's still to the outside of Brandon Jackson, still in the battle for 3rd, but Benjamin Lacey trying to work his way up into the top 3. So momentum, as we talk about in the series all the time, it is huge, and some guys have it, some guys don't. Brandon Jackson, whoa, gets pushed. Is he going to save it? He doesn't. The 99 truck goes around off turn number 2. I don't know if he had a bit of a bump or if he locked up and got loose, but now he's going to have to back it up a little ways, try to get back under. Still, I don't know if he's stalled it. Evan, you talk about this all the time, but maybe it's happened again at the most inopportune time possible.
I believe we just caught the 99 stalling it. I love it when we can catch Brandon Jackson stalling it. When I made his paint scheme, I specifically put a bumper sticker on there that said he might stall because it happens. I love it. I love catching it. He's such a good driver. I love catching him making mistakes because it doesn't happen often, and I'm happy that we are able to see him do it in the truck. I'm sure he's not near as happy as I am. If I were you, I definitely would not go to his Twitch stream right now, but the 99 to Brandon Jackson able to get it back going and still up to speed again. But yeah, there's the 7 car of Lacey battling again with, who is that behind him? He's pulling away a little bit now, so it's really not much of a battle anymore.
It feels like as soon as we make an assumption about what's going to happen every time tonight, Evan, it just, the exact opposite happens, and it's been such a fun race for that very reason. Further back, we got a battle. That is it. So up ahead, there's Eddie Hagge in a battle. Aaron Smith on new tires. Goodbye, flying underneath. He is still a lap down, trying to make his way back until guys come down pit road. But this is Eddie Hagge and Alex Bowser battling for the 7th spot. 2 guys that I'm sure would be very happy with this finish in the points tonight.
Yeah, now the 2 truck of Nick Nickerson heading down pit road.
Yes, indeed. So another one of your lead lap trucks, I should say, heads down. Nick Nickerson pulling into his pit box, and we'll see where he cycles out in relation to Aaron Smith, the other car on the lead lap there, up towards the front that is pitted at this point. But Tony Hilbrands now, this is a name that, well, just a couple laps ago, we would not have thought was going to be leading by as much as he is, but maybe just better on those older tires than these other guys in the field, and he is making it work. The 92 truck, a full second out in front of Davey Hendricks.
Yeah, I feel like it's what I was talking about before the race. You'll see the guys that are really strong early on in the run, and then you'll see the guys that you didn't even, they'll come out of nowhere because they were just saving their tires all run, and they're really strong at the end of the run. And that's what's so fun about races like this, where you really have to save your tires because you see so many guys up front. There's a lot of passing. There's a lot of guys faster and slower than other guys, and that's really what makes this so interesting. And I feel like we're about to see a lot of guys come down pit road if I had to take a guess.
Yeah, I think you're right. And one of them that's working his way through and trying to get past these guys that haven't pitted yet is Kevin Foster. He pitted just a couple laps ago, and now he is working. Sorry, lap 42 actually. So he's actually on an alternate pit strategy. He has slightly newer tires than these other guys in the pack, and you can kind of tell the way he's weaving through people. David Lakey might have to come down in just a moment. You see Hunter Henry getting ready to go in. He's right against the white line, starting to slow down. So the 94 truck is in this time. Cody, whoa! What happened to the 85 truck? Locks it up on pit entry. And he goes around, tries to save it as quick as he can, get back up to speed, but Cody Welch, another small mistake. We saw one in turn 1 last week at Daytona Road Course, cycles back into the pits and tries to get up to speed, but what happened for him? Just lost control of the truck under braking, and one of many drivers we've seen tonight, Evan. I don't know if this pit lane is particularly difficult or what, but pit road has just proven tricky for these guys tonight.
Yeah, I really think that drivers are just trying to get every little tiny ounce of time that they can get. They're just trying to make up everything that they can. They're so competitive and they want to be faster than the driver next to them. They're trying to do everything they can, and some of these guys are just pushing it just a little bit too far, and that's where you saw the 85 truck go around. But luckily, on a pit stop like this, it shouldn't be too devastating. He shouldn't fall back too far. He was able to get it saved at least fairly quick. But the 92 at Tony Hilbrands, he's going to be your leader right now with Lacey in second, followed by Hendricks, Bowser, and Breslin. I would have to assume that Breslin, he's going to take it a little bit further. He did the last time. I believe Bowser did as well, if I'm not mistaken. But so did Hilbrands and Lacey. I know those guys took it a little bit later than some of the other guys did the first time, so you got to expect them to do it again here on lap 66 of a 100.
Yeah, so the last pit stop for Tony Hilbrands was lap 42. The last one for Benjamin Lacey, who's in second right now in the 7 truck, was lap 41. And Spencer Breslin a few laps before that in the lap 35, so he's got to be coming down pit road momentarily in that pink number 16 truck. Other than that, a few other stragglers there that pitted quite a while ago. The 10 truck of Matt Crockett only pitted once. He only pitted on lap 33, so now 34 laps into a stint. That's actually very interesting. We saw a fuel race. I think it was at Kansas last season or Kentucky. One of those tracks. We had a late race fuel race that came down to the wire, and as a result, Matt Crockett took second. We could be seeing that again, Evan. Matt Crockett seeming to find he's seeming to find laps with his fuel tank that other trucks just can't match.
Yeah, I just heard Matt over the radio saying he's come into the pits right now, but he is a really good driver at fuel strategy, at tire strategy. He's good at conserving his equipment. You know, you look at that 10 truck, and he may not always be the quickest driver out there. There you see the 16 coming in as well. But that 10 truck, he doesn't light up the scoreboard. He's not the quickest qualifier. He's not always the quickest finisher in the race, but he takes care of his truck really well from what I've noticed. He's good at saving tires. He's good at saving fuel. And that's why I feel like some of these races like this, they may fall right into that 10's playbook.
Absolutely, and now he's going to be good on fuel to the end if he can do 32 more laps in one tank, so keep an eye on Matt Crockett if this becomes a fuel race. But right now, Christopher Ferrara, he's in a pretty fun battle. There's the 02 truck of Charles Oberg there to his outside, those two side by side. Absolutely characters there on the race chat pre-race, so good to see those guys having a bit of a tussle. But other than that, Alex Bowser now, he is battling. There's the 02 truck to the outside of Charles Oberg. There right in front of him is, I believe, yeah, that's the 13 of Ferrara. So Alex Bowser slicing through the field. He's up into 12th and only 3 seconds behind Jason Greenwell, currently the last truck in the top 10. Just to quickly clarify what that truck is for. Whoa, as he kind of gets loose there. Is he coming down pit? No, he just got a little bit loose there through turn 3 and 4, but you can see there it says Pompous on the truck. He is wearing, I hope you guys caught it pre-race, but he is wearing a suit, monocle, and tie. Also a nice big hat there, and that is in reference to a slip-up last week where I accidentally, in an attempt to say that he should become a villain in the series and become a very pompous character, I accidentally believe I called him currently pompous and somebody that was a pompous personality. I absolutely did not mean it that way. That was a slip-up in words, and Jason Greenwell, one of the nicest guys behind the scenes. But I'm glad that he took it and ran with it, and hopefully we can catch one more time his lovely hat, lovely suit before the end of the race.
Yeah, I'm glad that he took it and ran with it. That's really funny. It's good to see the camaraderie behind the scenes. And it's really fun to show you guys that just watch these broadcasts, the camaraderie behind the scenes, because it's a really good time. It's really fun. And if any of you guys watch the broadcast and don't race, or don't race in this series, then I highly suggest that you try and race in this series. If you race in any others, it's a lot of fun. These guys are so much fun. But there you see the Bandit Racing League trivia contest. The next question, I'll go ahead and say it for you, Marshall. You've said all the other ones. I'll go ahead and take this one off your hands. Other than Nick Nickerson, who has won a road course event in season 8 or 9? Is it Cody Welch, Aaron Smith II, Curtis Yancey, or Ashley Molyneux?
Perfect. Thank you, Evan. Yes, that is trivia question number 5. Just a reminder, we didn't get a chance to talk about it too much earlier. This has just been a fast-paced event. Kevin Foster now cycles to the lead. Aaron Smith now in second. Nick Nickerson jumps to third, and Tony Hilbrand's making his final pit stop of the day there in the 92 truck on pit road. But yes, Rogue Energy, the sponsor of tonight's event. Kevin Foster coming down pit road, and he is now going to be doing his final pit stop. So Aaron Smith, who likely has to do one more in his own right, pitted on lap 55, so he's going to be coming down pit road likely about lap number 90, right there at the end of the race, unfortunately. So we're having trivia answers flow in, but that is the Rogue Energy Bandit Racing League Trivia Contest. Tonight is the opening round of the mini-series of 3 races this season, sponsored by Rogue Energy, a mini-championship that has its own prizes for the driver with the most points in those 3 races. The other 2, I believe, are Road America. And I am forgetting the last one. It's something good, but we'll come up with that later. But yeah, Rogue Energy sponsoring the trivia. The winner of trivia, you've seen it on the graphics, but they're going to win some samples from Rogue Energy. You'll get them sent to you for free, and you'll get a nice shaker bottle as well to experience Rogue Energy. We'll talk more about them later. And Alan Castle, who is our representative on behalf of Rogue Energy, is our driver profile driver, but we just really didn't get a chance to talk about him so far, so that'll be later in the race. You'll hear more about them. Go to the link below there to order yourself some Rogue Energy. They are a huge supporter of the series, and they were kind enough to send me a glass that I got to show off in a moment. I got sent a nice pint glass from Rogue Energy, and I don't have any Rogue Energy here with me, but I'm drinking my typical broadcast beverage out of it right now. So thank you to Alan Castle. We'll talk more about him later, and we'll hear his interview that I did with him today. But it's absolutely a pleasure to have them sponsoring, and this triple header championship, Evan, I think it's going to be fun, and certainly if the next 2 races are anything like this, what a mini-series we're going to have. Currently, Aaron Smith is going to take away the most points in that mini-series if he finishes where he is right now, but keep an eye, though, on those guys that would have pitted after about lap 72, the most notable one coming to my mind being Matt Crockett there, as well as Benjamin Lacey and Tony Hilbrands, all of whom pitted late enough they should be able to make it to the end.
Yeah, Alan Castle definitely picked a really good race to sponsor. This has been a fun one so far, and I believe it's Milwaukee and Road America are the next 2 races, and those ought to be really fun ones as well. But something that I'm keeping my eye on is that driver in second position, the driver of the number 2 truck, Nick Nickerson. He's gaining on the 42 truck, but slowly.
Yeah, it's interesting. Again, it might just be a tire wear thing, but we're seeing the leader having a tough time keeping it up front, not losing a little bit of time, just like we saw Cody Welch earlier starting to creep up towards Aaron Smith. Now it's Nick Nickerson, who just narrowly beat him out last week at Daytona Road Course. And yeah, this is a fun battle, kind of a sequel to their battle last week. It's been about as close as that was. Look at the 42 truck sliding on exit, and the 4 keeps it under him, but way to go. Way to keep the hands moving there, Aaron Smith. And don't forget as well about Davey Hendricks, only a second back of Nick Nickerson, 3 back of Smith. He is still very much in this battle as well. So if one of those guys that pitted later, like Kevin Foster, Mark Allen Bivens as well, Garrett Hall, Tony Hilbrands, those guys that pitted later, as well as Benjamin Lacey, if they can't make it to the end, guys like Davey Hendricks, Nick Nickerson, they are still a factor to make it up front. Let's just very quickly show you the lap times. Whoa! 76 truck of Mark Allen Bivens on new tires. Goodbye. Sends it 3 wide through turn 4. Goes under Flagar and over Smith. But here is your lap-by-lap comparison between Aaron Smith and Nick Nickerson up front. You see again, Nick running 7 full tenths quicker that last time by the 42 truck. And the, I think that's the 08. I am not familiar with an 08 truck, but that's Jason Romey. He is trying to find his way through, presumably on new tires. But yeah, you can see there, Nick Nickerson been faster by significant amounts each of the last 5 laps.
Yeah, Nick Nickerson is definitely catching him, but the thing is we got 23 laps to go. Who is saving their stuff better? That's always the debate, but there's Davey Hendricks getting by Nick Nickerson. So, again, that just even furthers the debate. Who is saving their stuff better? It's going to be a battle in 22 laps between the 42, the 21, and the 2, unless we get a caution. You know, you never know what can happen here. The 64 car, or the 64 truck of Ricky Hart Jr. is always ready to pounce. But we have to mention the 38 of Peter Murphy, a great run from him, as well as the 83, the 7, the 38, and fan favorite, the 94 of Hunter Henry there in 9th position. Well, just dropped back to 10th position, but fan favorite of Hunter Henry doing a great job tonight.
Yeah, he is indeed. There are some great performances there that we should spotlight in more depth. So the 38 truck of Peter Murphy right now, he last pitted on lap number 64, so can't go to the end, but he is not too far back of these guys up front. He's about to have a fun battle, I'd imagine, with Ricky Hart Jr. in the 64, who's right behind him. he led a significant portion of this race. Of course, last season's winner at this very same track, but looks like tonight, unless he can find 7 seconds up in 21 laps, 3 seconds, or no, that's not even slightly correct math. I'm just not going to stop that thought right there.
Lead up front.
We do indeed. Davey Hendricks going to take over the lead as Aaron Smith coming down pit road this time. Same with Nick Nickerson. Blocks the tires up, but gets a ton of time there. And Davey Hendricks, yeah, right as we thought we knew that it was going to be a battle between Smith and Nickerson if the guys on different pit strategy can't go to the end. Well, right as we say that, Davey Hendricks just found another burst of speed, and he is flying right now. I mean, comparatively to those guys on old tires, he's looking great. Peter Murphy and Ricky Hart still have yet to get into their battle right now, but Victor Weaver as well in the 23 truck. He is the final driver on this lap to come down pit road, and just, it's not so much to keep up with only 15 cars on the lead lap right now, but again, with guys like Tony Hilbrands, like Benjamin Lacey that are good to the end on fuel, it's a whole different ballgame when you think about that. And the question is now, can Benjamin Lacey go only 29 laps on fuel? Because if he can, he should be good to the end.
It's going to be an interesting race to the end, that's for sure. Benjamin Lacey's definitely going to try it, but right now Peter Murphy is the driver up front, and we've got another Bandit Racing League trivia question for you. Since the beginning of Season 8, who has the second most poles? Not the first most poles, but the second most poles. Is it Brett Guzik, Nick Nickerson, Cody Welch, or Michael Ramos? All those guys really fast drivers, but which one of them has the second most poles?
Thank you, Evan. Yes, there is your 6th trivia question of the night. Only 4 more to go. So those of you participating in the contest, of course, thank you for taking the time, and best of luck to you. And hopefully you can win those Rogue Energy samples. Thanks to Rogue Energy, tonight's race sponsor, the opening race of the triple header. But yes, Peter Murphy down pit road, making Ricky Hart your temporary leader. Benjamin Lacey not too far back in a battle with Alex Bowser, who's right behind as well, the 36 truck. Great race last week, trying to follow it up again tonight, but starting to lose the slipstream. I think that either Benjamin Lacey's just got the line down pat, or he's a little bit better on tires, because he's looking quicker lap by lap than the 36 truck, but he's still in the conversation. Spencer Breslin now coming down pit road for his final stop of the day, as well as Hunter Henry and Willie Evernham there in the 19 truck. So some good performances from those guys, and depending on where they cycle out, could still have a great race for themselves to end off tonight. But Ricky Hart Jr. now up front. I guarantee he can't make it to the end. He pitted on lap number 58. Now on lap number 83. He's got to be coming down pit road sooner rather than later, so he can't go to the end, but he's going to try to pull away from Benjamin Lacey for as long as he can. But now here comes Benjamin Lacey in the 7 truck. Kind of a quiet race so far. He won 2 races last season, don't forget. Was in the championship 4. So Benjamin Lacey, definitely a guy that you shouldn't forget about. You shouldn't factor out of the equation, but just such a quiet race so far, and maybe that's kind of a strategy as it goes down the inside. The outside. No problem getting by Ricky Hart Jr. So there you go, new race leader Benjamin Lacey. And I think he can make it to the end on fuel, and that just makes me ask, Evan, how did the guy who's pitted one more time than these guys up front manage to take the first spot under green? I can't understand how he's done what he's done, but he pitted on lap 71 and should be good to the end.
You know, I really do not know. We'll just have to watch the rest of this race, watch these 15 laps, and really see what can happen, because that's crazy. As good as that 7 truck of Benjamin Lacey is doing, I can't believe that he can make it to the end, but we'll just have to find out. We got 15 laps to go. Lacey's up front. Ricky Hart Jr. is barely behind him. You got Kevin Foster, Bivens, and then there's where you see the 42 of Smith and the 2 of Nickerson. They're in 5th and 6th position.
Jumping back a little ways, here's Garrett Hall here. He's in a battle with Tony Hilbrands in the 92 truck. The 92's had a very eventful race tonight so far. He's trying to find his way through there, following Garrett Hall as long as he can, but I'd imagine momentarily he is about to not continue to work with him, and he's instead going to try to take the spot. I just want to check where these guys are on fuel. So, yeah, Tony Hilbrands should be good to the end. So should Garrett Hall. So should Davey Hendricks. So some guys here that are pretty much done on pit stops. I can now tell you officially that as long as guys can go 30 laps on a tank of fuel, the entire top 10 should be able to make it to the end. So this is your legitimate top 10. These are your guys that can make it to the end, and now that means that Benjamin Lacey, Kevin Foster, that is going to be our new battle for the win. And it also means that if Mark Allen Bivens can... Oh, right as I don't mean to jinx him. I'm going to shut up right now, because here comes Aaron Smith down on the bottom, the 42 truck, making the move. So Aaron Smith now, former race leader, probably led the most laps tonight. He's going to move back up into the podium spot, so he is going to get the spot on Mark Allen Bivens. But Mark Allen is good to the finish on pit stops if he can go 30 laps in a tank of fuel. So great race for him. Best of luck in his battle with Nick Nickerson, we're going to watch in a moment, as well as Davey Hendricks not too far behind. And those are your final 6 on the lead lap. But Davey Hendricks making contact with the outside wall in 2. And, well, if it weren't for this battle that might form in just a moment, that'd be what I had my eye on. But look at the lap times. Kevin Foster faster the last 5 laps, and he's good to the end on fuel, just as Benjamin Lacey should be. It looks like that's going to be your battle to the finish, and it's going to be a rematch of last season's finish in our race at Auto Club. A great battle between these two guys at the finish there. Now the question is, can Benjamin Lacey become our 4th different race winner of the season and hold him off?
Yeah, and what you missed, go on in the background there, that 64 truck of Ricky Hart Jr., he did come down pit road. He is now 1 lap down in 13th position. 1 lap down in 13th position for the 64 truck of Ricky Hart Jr. There you see him battling with the 97 of, I believe that's Eddie Haggy, who's down on the inside of and easily pulling away from on fresh tires.
He is indeed. Eddie Haggy actually getting shoved out of the way there. Peter Murphy trying to get by, trying to make up a couple laps here. He's currently sitting in 21st. Right behind him is Spencer Breslin, who is a lap ahead. He is in 13th. So guys really mixed around here at this point in the race. Guys are all over the order now, and it's tough to keep up with. But right now, Davey Hendricks I'm seeing, and Mark Allen Bivens. There we go, finally updating. So Mark Allen, unfortunately, as we went by, it looks like Nick Nickerson and Davey Hendricks, just much newer tires. They just flew by, and man, great race though for Mark Allen, and he's got 10 more seconds to Jason Greenwell. So a 6th place point spot after a podium in the season opener at Daytona to start off his year. He was then our driver profile driver, and he has looked good so far this season. Keep an eye on Mark Allen Bivens, one of the best young drivers in the series.
Yeah, Bivens keeps doing good. You're going to have many more driver profile, or many more people wanting to be on your driver profile. You know, he's doing really good as soon as you had that little interview with him.
Absolutely. Here very quickly is trivia question number 7. 3 more to go on the broadcast after this. But who does Marshall seem to constantly refer to as the fan favorite? There is your question. It's something that happens all the time in the broadcast, so if you've watched for any meaningful period of time, you should know the answer to that. But A, Bill Harkins, B, Davey Hendricks, C, Hunter Henry, D, Roman Henry. So there are your 4 options. Be sure to throw those down in the YouTube chat. And again, Rogue Energy sponsoring tonight's Bandit Racing League trivia, so thank you to them. And it's absolutely my pleasure to host trivia on the broadcast. I did it in my old series on occasion, and it's fun to have it back. So hopefully, I haven't been keeping track too much of the answers. I've seen certainly some that have thrown people for a loop, and it's interesting to see. I'll have to tally it up post-race, and if you have not submitted your email yet, please submit an email to crocm6791@gmail.com. That email is in the description, and send your YouTube username as well as the name you'd like to be referred to by, so that we can contact you to give you your stuff from Rogue Energy, give you your free samples and your free shaker. There goes Ricky Hart Jr. Just flew by Alex Bowser there in the background, as well as Kevin Foster, who is a full lap ahead. So Ricky Hart Jr. trying to get his lap back, but the gains we were seeing there, Evan, from Kevin Foster up towards Benjamin Lacey have subsided. They've stopped, and now Lacey's starting to pull away again. So maybe over that longer run, Benjamin Lacey just finding some time somewhere that Kevin Foster just can't. You see that last time by was faster by about almost 2/10.
Yeah, they have, and it makes me wonder whether Lacey is finding a little bit of time, or maybe Kevin Foster decided that he wanted to back off a little bit. There's only 6 laps to go. He may have just decided that he didn't think that he was catching him in enough time, and he thinks it might just be a little bit smarter to save his tires, save gas. Maybe we'll get a caution, but at the very least, he can just hang in that 2nd position. He's got 14 seconds to Smith behind him.
Just taking a look at Spencer Breslin, who's getting by Tony Hilbrands. That was a pass for 11th position, so just barely outside of the top 10. But Garrett Hall to his outside. This is the battle for 10th. Garrett Hall in the 26, trying to hold off the 16, but now to the inside. That damaged number 16 Taco Bell truck. He's got pace. Spencer Breslin is wheeling it here late in the race. 5 laps to go. Not much time left for Foster to catch Lacey. Again, the question is, can they make it on fuel? But as long as they're conserving a little bit, they should be okay. And the guy that I just jumped to now before the end of the race, Cody Welch, surprising to find himself this far back here. I don't know what went wrong strategically for him. He was up front all race, but currently finding himself in 21st, trying to move his way through the pack. Should make a move on Victor Weaver momentarily if he can keep this pace up, but what in the world happened? I just feel bad for the poor guy.
Yeah, that's really just what happens sometimes in strategy races like this. You know, the thing is, the strong truck doesn't always win, and that's not at all a knock against the 7 of Benjamin Lacey or Kevin Foster, because just because the fastest driver may not win, sometimes you have to be the smartest driver to get out of a race like this, and really that's what Benjamin Lacey has done. He's run the smartest race that he could. He wasn't always the fastest driver. He didn't dominate. That 42 truck was really the truck that was dominating up front. But that 7 of Benjamin Lacey did such a great job to put himself into the position to win this race. He has easily been the smartest driver all race, and he's done a great job. He's put himself in a great position, and now he's up front leading that race. He's got almost a 4-second gap to Kevin Foster, and he is extending that lead. So as long as we stay green with 3 laps to go, barring any big catastrophe, I feel like this race is going to go to the 7 of Benjamin Lacey.
I believe you're right, and we'll see if that is the case. Right now, Brian DeShaney's telling me a speeding penalty is likely the cause of Cody Welch's troubles, so we did see that moment there where he locked up and spun it around, but I thought since then he had relatively recovered. He got it back up to speed pretty quick and didn't stall like our favorite Brandon Jackson. Just got to shout that out again. I know he'll love that. But Nick Nickerson now, right behind him is Davey Hendricks still, the 21 truck. That speed he had before where he was looking like a force to be reckoned with kind of subsided just a little bit, but should still come home for a top 5 provided we don't get a caution momentarily. So he is trying to stay with Nick Nickerson about 4/10 back, but right now it is Benjamin Lacey taking the white flag here. He's going to go for it. Should be good on fuel if he can make it around one more lap. And just what do you even say? Benjamin Lacey out of nowhere. He's driving the black car there and like a shadow in the night just went under the radar the entire race. The 7 truck trying to become the 4th different winner this season in 4 races. What a run for him. A flawless way to end the race. Strategically perfect off of turn number 4. Benjamin Lacey, bring it to the line. 4th different winner in 4 races. Benjamin Lacey punches his ticket to the playoffs and wins the opening round of the Rogue Energy triple header at Atlanta Motor Speedway. He'll take valuable points in that Rogue Energy Championship. Go for some prizes there, including some cash and some Rogue Energy samples as well for his own sake. Kevin Foster coming home in 2nd. Your points leader, quietly having a great season for himself. Way to bring it home. And Aaron Smith, after last week, came home 2nd. We talked about he might be good at the ovals, but we didn't expect him to be as good as he was. Led the most laps and took home 2nd. And to the line, we had a great battle. Nick Nickerson just barely holding off Davey Hendricks by inches. It would seem 900ths of a second. That is the way to end off your race. Congratulations, Nick Nickerson on the 4th. Same to Davey Hendricks for 5th. Ricky Hart Jr. there in 6th. There, we'll throw his name up there. Ricky Hart Jr. coming home in 6th. Alex Bowser, another great finish for him. The 36 comes home in 7th. Jason Greenwell, the pompous man himself. Sorry again for that, but I'm glad you turned it into a great truck and puts himself in 8th. Way to do it. Good job, Jason Greenwell. Mark Allen Bibbins as well. He will hold on for 9th, so that is what you like to see. The 76 truck. Good for him, man. Congratulations. And Spencer Breslin in the number 16 will round off your top 10. Here's some donuts for Benjamin Lacey. There's tons of trucks here. Kevin Foster's out here. Aaron Smith is on the start-finish line. What a celebration, and it's very well-deserved.
Yeah, a lot of guys out here celebrating. Really, a couple of guys out here celebrating. Very well-deserved for Benjamin Lacey, but really well-deserved for all of these guys. It's been a great race for every single one of them. This is one of the best races that I have been a part of here at the Bandit Racing League, and I've been a part of some really good races, some really fun races, but this not only was it a really fun race, a great job from all these drivers to really minimize their mistakes, and when some of these drivers did make mistakes, they did great jobs to keep their truck rolling, not bring out cautions. This was a race that I think of when I first joined the Bandit Racing League. It was a lot of green flag runs, not many cautions. The drivers were just so good, and they were so good at keeping their trucks out of trouble, keeping their cars out of trouble. And tonight, it really reminded me of that. A great job from all of these guys, and just a pleasure to be up here in the broadcast booth watching it.
Absolutely. Congratulations to Benjamin Lacey. Very quickly, before we get your final results, let me just throw up your 8th trivia question of the night. 2 more to go, and those will be... we'll do one just before the interview and one before the Victor's interview to kind of space them out a little bit. But here is your 8th trivia question. Very quickly, what Bandit Racing League driver is known for... What the heck is that in the background? The 08 truck, Jason Romy, hello. But what Bandit Racing League driver is known for wearing collared shirts? Is it A, Jason Greenwell, B, Brandon Jackson, C, Benjamin Lacey, and D, Tony Hilbrands? I cannot confirm nor deny if any of these drivers have run with a collared shirt in one of our races, but the question is who does it most frequently? So there are your options, A, B, C, or D. And we'll keep an eye here on Benjamin Lacey because he's still driving around. He's going to go back to his pit box and slightly illegal way, but that's okay. You do yourself, and it's deserved. Benjamin Lacey, congratulations, man. And again, just under the radar, but sometimes, Evan, that's all you got to do with these tracks where it's all about fuel mileage and tire wear.
Yeah, you don't have to be the flashiest guy getting to the finish. You don't have to lead the most laps. You just have to lead the last one, and that's what that 7 truck did. Really smart race from him and a great job to bring it home in first position.
Absolutely, and here are your race results presented by Perfect Shine Auto Spa. They will be sponsoring our race results as well as our starting grids. Every race this season. Didn't get enough time pre-race to do the whole starting grid, but this whole broadcast felt like it flew by in a flash. There are your results. Benjamin Lacey picks up his first race win of the season at Atlanta Motor Speedway in the opening round of the Rogue Energy triple header. And what a way to do it. Just kind of under the radar, did what he had to on fuel and tires. But great job for him. Congratulations. He's locked into the playoffs and narrowly holds off Kevin Foster, your points leader still. He'll still hold on to that title, but unfortunately just hasn't got that win to punch himself officially into the playoffs. But still, second place again, another podium. What a season he's having for sure. Aaron Smith after that, the rookie driver in his second straight podium and almost won the race, led the most laps. He was just flying tonight. I can't wait to talk to. It'll be interesting to hear his thoughts because, you know, you could argue kind of under the radar that he was going to do what he did tonight. Held off guys like Nick Nickerson, Ricky Hart that we knew were going to be quick. Speaking of Nick Nickerson, he'll come home in fourth, just ahead of Davey Hendricks, and by that I mean just ahead. Look at the margin between those two drivers there to round off the top five. They did everything tonight to take whatever points they could, and that included a battle to the very end. Ricky Hart after that will finish in sixth, defending winner here at Atlanta, but held on for some good points tonight. Still has yet to make his way back into the winner's booth, and it's now been an official full season, but we know he'll be back there sooner rather than later. It's Ricky Hart Jr., former champion. It's what you expect from him. But Alex Bowser, perhaps not what will be expected from a series rookie. And again, another top 10 for him, the 36 truck. Somebody to keep an eye on, and it's been great to watch him all season. Jason Greenwell after that there in the number 83. And a great finish tonight. Again, I mentioned his truck, but I'm sorry, Jason. I called you pompous by accident, and hopefully you can forgive me. But I'm glad again that he turned it into a fun livery, and it was one of the best looking trucks on track tonight. Mark Allen Bibbins, another top 10. Again, one of the youngest drivers in the series, but he has shown the potential that he has. And if he can keep that going the rest of the year, he may be genuinely a guy that could find his way and maybe even the top 8 in the championship. Rounding off the top 10, it is Spencer Breslin. Pretty quiet night. Some damage to that 16 Taco Bell truck all the way through, but he made it to the end. And it will finish with top 10 points.
Yeah, then in 11th position, starting your teens, is going to be David Leakey in that 84 truck. I'm excited to see him in a couple of weeks when we go to Knoxville. He sponsored that race, so it'll be fun to see when he gets there. I believe he sponsored that race. Then 12th, Hunter Henry, that 94, the fan favorite in 12th. 13th is Garrett Hall, followed by Tony Hillbrands in the 96 in 14th position. Then you got Willie Evernham, one lap down as well in 15th, followed by Brett Guzik, the 04. Not exactly sure what happened to him, but one lap down for Brett Guzik Motorsports there. Matt Crockett, really happy to see him out here in the 10 truck. Just really glad that he could be here, and a great job bringing it home in 17th position. Followed in 18th by Jason Romy, not exactly sure. I'll have to get with him on that. In that 08 truck, one lap down as well. Then Peter Murphy in the 38, Victor Weaver in the 23.
A surprise to see here in the 20s. Cody Welch will finish in 21st in the 85 truck. We saw there, thanks to Brian DeChaney there in the comments, let us know that it was a speeding penalty. We saw one from Nick Nickerson last year at Road America. It can certainly happen to the very best, and he'll have to try to find a way to recover next week at Bristol. Expect him to be a factor in that race. I can't wait to go to Bristol. That'll be a fun one, but it'll be interesting to see Cody Welch with a fire under him. I can't wait to watch one of our best in the series going at it to try to make up valuable points. He will finish in 21st. Roman Henry coming home in 22nd. Christopher Ferrara comes home in 23rd. Connor Zook finishing 24th. Eddie Hagge was up front for a while. Don't know what happened to him, but he will finish 2 laps down from your race winner. He'll finish in 25th. Alan Castle, again, tonight's race sponsor. He's our driver profile, and we'll hear the interview him and I had in just a moment representing Castle Esports and Rogue Energy. He'll come home in 26th, but he was tonight's race sponsor, and I think we can both agree, Evan, that, again, what a race to sponsor. Tonight was a blast. After that, we got Mason Flagar finishing in 27th. We saw some early troubles from him. The 72 truck was around a couple times off turn 2, but in the end, he will come home with the top 30 in points, which in a full field isn't bad whatsoever. Then Anthony Caetano in 28th. Jason Knock, I think, making his debut tonight in the 00 truck. And James Hartley will round off your top 30.
Yeah, and 31st is going to be Brandon Jackson in that 99 truck. 33 laps down, not exactly sure what happened with him, but I saw after that accident, he disconnected, so possibly some internet troubles. You never know what happened with the 99 truck. Then following him in 32nd is going to be Charles Oberg in the 02. Then Robert Mathis, Nick Korn, Michael Ramos, the 27, coming home in 35th. Followed by Trey Ellis, Bill Harkins, Gary Wright, Jeffrey Dorhofer. And then just to go ahead and round off your field, Jonathan Platt, the 43, in 40th position. Then Cale Zook, Eric Andrews, and Steve Ulrich rounding off your field.
Yes, indeed. That will bring the field to a close. And just again, what a race. It's not over yet. We got plenty of, well, I don't know about plenty, but we got some post-race to do. First, we got to
Don't leave yet.
No, don't leave yet. First of all, if you're in the trivia contest, we got 2 more questions to go. But please stick around a little bit for the interviews. We got a driver profile as well. The race ended early, so the least you can do is stick around and at least hear the guys in the broadcast booth, because to get here to be one of the top 3 tonight was not easy, especially tonight. And I know they really appreciate to know that their words post race are appreciated. So be sure to stick around a little bit more. Here is your 9th trivia question, your second to last of the night. We'll get to your final one at the end of the broadcast. So stick around if you want to win the prize. If you want to get tallied up at the end as the winner, you got to stick around and be here for the interviews. But we'll try to make them a little shorter. We're trying to do that as we have in the past, but I'm sure they'll be of value. We got really 3 fun interview drivers tonight, so looking forward to that. But here is your 9th question, and it's kind of fitting because at what racetrack does Season 9 of the Bandit Racing League end? That is your question. I thought it was going to be a little bit easier. I thought I'd have showed the schedule by now, but I haven't. So we talk about it a lot. I show the schedule at the end of every race, so this will be one for those of you that have a keen eye that should know the answer to this. But is the answer A, Talladega, B, Richmond, C, Charlotte, and D, Watkins Glen? And again, another hint for you guys at home, we do run all of these tracks on this schedule, so you should recognize all of them at some point in the schedule, but the question is, where do we end off this season? So feel free to leave the answer there. And very quickly, before we get to your race interviews, your interviews with Aaron Smith, Kevin Foster, and Benjamin Lacey, respectively, we first got to go to our driver profile. And tonight, earlier today, I should say, we sat down with Alan Castle, your Rogue Energy representative, and he's been in the racing industry a very long time. So here is your interview with him. And unfortunately, we tried to work it a little earlier into the broadcast. Usually we do the mid-race, but tonight was so jam-packed, we didn't get the time. So we'll take a couple minutes, we'll listen to the driver profile interview, we'll come back, we'll do the interviews, and then you'll get your final trivia question. So we'll be back in just a moment, but here is when I sat down earlier today with Alan Castle to talk about his experience and his experience with Rogue Energy. Well, first of all, Alan, just kind of talk to us a little bit about the triple header sponsored by Rogue Energy this season, kind of the mini championship within our championship. So talk about what you're hoping for from that this year, talk about how it came to be, and just talk about your partnership a little bit with Rogue Energy.
Oh yeah, definitely just kind of wanted to try to get a little bit of a mid-season competition, I guess you could say, going. Not really wanting to sponsor a full series, but kind of wanted to do a little deal for the guys, give them a little something to race for, give a chance to some of these guys that maybe not going to be able to run for a championship, but to give them a chance to get a little prize in the middle of the season. Rogue and I started a affiliate partnership, I guess I'd say probably about a year ago now. I think is how long we've been going at it. It's just a little deal that they give me a custom code to their website, and I'm able to kind of sell some stuff for them, and it's ended up being a really cool deal. They're really good people, and I've enjoyed working with them.
That's awesome. Well, it's great to partner with them on behalf of the league, and I'm really looking forward to the small championship. Hopefully it creates, as you say, some fun action for some guys that might not be going for the title in the big picture. But, to your experience, Alan, you're one of the more experienced guys in the series. You got plenty of experience in racing in your background. So kind of talk about your past in the sport and in motorsports in general, and then how that kind of segued you into the iRacing side of things and how your experience has been since then.
Oh, yeah. So I started kind of getting into motorsports when I was real young. Never really had the money to, and finally when I turned about 15, we finally got us our first car, and we kind of just started building cars for guys. And I've crew chiefed a bunch of local drivers at the fairgrounds and the Highland Rim, and it's just been a lot of fun to do. And then once COVID kind of hit and they shut us down for a little bit, I had to find something to fill my time with, and I found that iRacing is definitely that void filler, which is pretty cool, and it was certainly a lot cheaper on my pockets, not having to build cars and spend a bunch of money on stuff. So now if I wreck them, all I got to do is hit reset.
Yeah, exactly. That is certainly one of the main benefits, I'd imagine, and I'm sure it makes the sim about $1 million cheaper whenever we run the Cup cars. But in terms of that background, when you talk about experienced crew chiefing and experience working on cars in the real world, Do you think any of that experience carries over? Do you think you have any knowledge about the sim and how the cars work based on the stuff you've done in your past?
A little bit of, if we ran the open setup, it might translate over. Running just the fixed setups we run, it's fun just to sit in the car and be able to turn some laps and learn how those cars work. I mean, of course, with pit stops and stuff like that, knowing when and when I need to pit and when I don't need to pit and how tires wear and stuff like that. Yeah, it's helped a little bit.
Now, in terms of your background, to have so many years in racing, to dedicate so much of your life to motorsports, even now weekly on the broadcast in the Bandit League, do you just kind of want to talk about your support system a little bit, the people you got in your background, friends, family that have kind of helped you get your way through here and that still maybe watch the broadcast and support you today?
Oh, yeah, definitely. My dad, owe a lot to him, owe a lot to my wife and my little girl. They let me do this on Wednesday nights, and without them, I probably wouldn't be doing it. They really support me. My little girl loves watching the broadcast, so that's definitely a cool experience that she gets to see Daddy on the TV.
No, that's awesome. I really hope they're enjoying, your friends and family, and especially your daughter. Hope they're enjoying the race so far, and especially these 3 triple header races. I know they're going to be a lot of fun. We got some trivia for tonight. It's going to be a great time, and well, hopefully you can do them proud. And maybe, as we mentioned here, and you can see on the graphic, you got 1 win in the series before at Talladega. Not too long before we go to Talladega again, so maybe we can make it 2 in a row for you there, Alan. It's great to talk to you. Thank you for taking the time to hop in the booth, and you never know. Hey, if tonight all goes well, maybe we'll be talking to you again either post-race tonight or sometime in the near future. So thanks for taking the time, man, and it's a pleasure.
I appreciate it. Thank y'all for what y'all do.
And there was the interview I had with Alan Castle earlier today. Good to talk with him because he's a guy that has a lot of experience in the racing industry. Definitely one of those guys in the Bandit League that is much more in touch with the racing side than just the sim side of things. Just a few years experience on iRacing. He's definitely been around been around the cars, been around the tracks, been around this sort of thing much longer than most of us have. Certainly much longer than I have. And it was cool to talk to him, and he's a fun guy to talk to as well off the interview. But hopefully you guys got an insight into him and got to hear a little bit more about Rogue Energy. We'll take a very brief minute as I get through and set my stuff up for your first interview of the night with Aaron Smith, your finisher in 3rd place. But Rogue Energy, remember to use code. I'm immediately forgetting. That's it. Thank you. Yes, use code Castle Esports at rogueenergy.com. The link is in the description below for 10% off your order. It's such a great brand. It's zero sugar, which is very important. I know a lot of energy drinks, in addition to just the caffeine, they like to go the extra mile, or I guess the extra mile in a bad way, and just pump it full of sugar, make it really unhealthy, really just at a certain point kind of distasteful to drink. Like you drink it, you're just like, oh, I can feel my body turning into sewage. But Rogue Energy, much better made than that. Actually, the calorie count isn't that bad either. You'll find all the information about it on their website. But yeah, Rogue Energy, again, we'll talk about them in a moment. I have a sweet glass they sent me that I want to show off too. So we'll talk a little bit more about them later. But yes, use code Castle Esports. That is CASTLEESPORTS at rogueenergy.com for 10% off your order. So be sure it's in the race logo. So check out the race logo after the race if you want that information. If you want that info, I just got the points from Nick Nickerson. So your new points leader is Kevin Foster. Davey Hendricks and Nick Nickerson are your top 3. There's a little bit of info. But I got to get this graphic up for your first interview of the night with Mr. Aaron Smith. And just, again tonight, led the most laps. He was kind of comfortably ahead most of the race there. It looked like even when somebody would find the pace to keep up with him for a little bit, it wouldn't last too long. And, well, before long, it was very clear that he wasn't going to make it to the win, but did everything he could. Started on pole tonight as well. So it'll be a pleasure to talk to him in just a moment. Let's just get this finished up here. And there we go. We are ready for your first interview of the night with Mr. Aaron Smith. Again, be sure to wait around after the interviews for your final trivia question in the trivia contest presented by Rogue Energy. And we'll talk a little bit more about them in a moment. But first, let's bring Aaron Smith up for your first interview of the night. Hey, Aaron, it's Marshall up at the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I gotcha. Awesome.
Well, welcome. Aaron, I mean, after a second last week, a great performance from you. You come back to the ovals, and you looked like you were dominating there, man. I mean, from the pole to, once guys started to get behind you and battle a little bit, you were breaking away. What was it you think you were doing different tonight? The guys just couldn't figure out and was making you look so unstoppable most of the race.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm not too sure. I've always liked Atlanta and some of those other cookie cutter ovals, but since they had the multi-groove put back on it recently, it's handled really well with the trucks and made for a fun race. Unfortunately, we didn't bring home the win, but it was pretty fun otherwise.
Yeah, speaking of which, I mean, you were so close there, man. It looked like if it weren't for the fuel strategy there and all the stuff that was up in the air, you would have had it strategically. But yeah, when you started to figure out it might be a fuel race, or well, first of all, when did you figure out it might be a fuel race? But also with your strategy, what sort of balls were you having to juggle there in the air, and what was it there at the end that just didn't work for you with your strategy?
Yeah, it was the one strategy I didn't think of that ended up winning the race. But I wanted to get the best out of my tires in the last 2 runs, so I went flying through the field both those times and just didn't make it back to the front there at the end. But otherwise, I'll take that P3 any day.
Absolutely, and it's the opening race of the mini series here, the Rogue Energy Triple Crown Challenge. You come away with third place points in the first race. The other 2 races in this series are Road America, which I'd imagine is going to be up your wheelhouse, and then Milwaukee Mile as well. So how are those 2 tracks for you? And do you think you could be a threat for the other 2 races in the Triple Crown? Maybe win the rewards that go along with winning it.
Well, I've never been too good at Milwaukee, but Road America is certainly a track I've got my eyes on. Hopefully, we'll be able to bring home that Rogue Energy win.
Absolutely, it would be good to see and take home the prizes. Rogue Energy is such a great brand to partner with, and well, tonight you're just again, man, you're making a name for yourself, and you don't quite have that win yet, but you've come very close twice. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you can put together next week at the very always chaotic Bristol. But for now, is there anybody you want to thank as you always do in the broadcast booth? And I'd expect we'll see you here very soon again. So I'd imagine you'll be doing it again before too long. But yeah, is there anybody at home you want to thank? Any friends or family? Any sponsors to shout out? And just anything you want to talk about to round off your interview?
Yeah, I'd like to thank the Satellite Racing team for their support over the past year and a half, and everyone at the Bandit Racing League for putting this show on, and y'all for broadcasting. Looking forward to next week.
Awesome, as are we. What a race tonight, man! And you were ahead of an often very very chaotic pack there in behind you. In the end, it doesn't quite work out, but third place, back-to-back podiums, can't be disappointed with that. So we'll see you next week, Aaron. Hold your head high. Great to watch. Congratulations, man.
All right, thank you.
And that'll round off your first interview of the night there with Aaron Smith. My brain is already frazzled just trying to get this stuff ready. So there's Kevin Foster. He did not start on pole nor finish third, so let me just correct that very quickly. But yeah, it'll be Mr. Evan Wall alongside Kevin Foster. I think this is his second podium of the year, so remember that no podiums thing. That was trivia question number 2. So spoiler alert, the answer was no. Nobody has podiumed twice to this point in the series, but now both Aaron Smith and Kevin Foster have, but not your race winner, Benjamin Lacey. But for now, it'll be Mr. Evan Wall in the booth with Kevin Foster. So let's pull him in for your second interview of the night.
Hey, Kevin, this is Evan Wall up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, first of all, when I think of that 8-car truck, I really think of your ability to save tires and save gas. I've seen you do it a couple times, and it's just one of the things that I think you're really good at compared to some of these other drivers. Now, you didn't exactly come home in first today, but give us a tip if you can. What exactly do you do compared to some of these other drivers that really gets yourself up front at the end?
Well, the biggest thing is in the beginning of a run, save a little bit. Don't go 100%. It's just you got to just take it easy. At this track, Atlanta, you want to be easy into the corner and good exit speed, which makes good lap time. And if you do that, so therefore you save a little bit of fuel and you save a little bit of tires.
Yeah, that's some great advice. But yeah, just speaking of that, did you really know coming into this race that you planned on trying to make a run last a little bit longer? What was your plan coming in here?
The plan coming in, of course, this track, it always depends on cautions. When are the cautions going to fall? With 30 on lap 38, whatever it was, we pitted 39. And so I was like, well, if I pit here, and then I can save enough fuel and I'll make one more stop. And then if no one else pitted, there's only 3 of us that, pitted at that time. I was like, well, everyone else is going to have to pit twice. We're only going to have to pit once. And hopefully we can stay in front of the guys with fresh tires because, as you saw, the fresh tires, were 2 seconds a lap faster. And, it paid out. Congrats to Benjamin on P1. But, P2, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, those fresh tires definitely made a big difference, but you did a great job holding them off, sitting there, finishing off in second position, and you're still going to be leading the points after tonight. But one more question here. So this was the first race of the Rogue Energy Triple Crown Challenge. Next up in the Triple Crown Challenge, we have Milwaukee, but then next week, just not part of the Triple Crown Challenge, we have Bristol. So those are both two interesting tracks. How do you feel about those? Are those two tracks that you're excited for, or what?
Bristol, no. I'm hoping we don't have a ton of cautions at Bristol, but Bristol, short track, bumping, banging. These trucks carry a lot of speed in corners. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be wild, and I hope everyone tunes in to watch the race next week. And it's going to be interesting. And as far as Milwaukee's a great track, nice, flat. Definitely, truck control is going to be key, and saving some tires because you're definitely going to burn the right front tire up at Milwaukee.
Wait, that sounds good. It sounds like they're going to be a lot of fun, and I'm excited to watch it. But we got to wrap this up. So now you know what? You've been interviewed before. This is your time. Go ahead and shout out whoever you want to. Anybody, I know you got a sponsor on that truck, so you can go ahead and shout out them. Any friends or family watching, now's your time to take the interview and say whatever you want to say.
Big shout out to Frank at Big Red Propane, stepping on board, sponsoring a truck this year. Swinner D'Azzo came on board. TechNet, they stepped on board as associate sponsor for the rest of the season. Big shout out to my teammate, finished fourth, Mr. Nick Nickerson. I would not be in this position where I'm at in the points or this season without his help and support through the beginning of the season. It's been a great partnership, and looking forward to the rest of the season, and hopefully one more spot better next week.
That sounds good. I'll definitely be on the lookout for you. Good luck today, and we'll see you next week, Kevin.
All right, guys. Appreciate you guys for everything you guys do.
And that'll round off your second place interview with Mr. Kevin Foster. He's doing great in the points this year, and he talked about last season at the end of the Xfinity year that he just wasn't too in line with the Xfinity cars. He wasn't liking it. It wasn't appealing to his styles. But since he's got to the tracks, he's shown that pace that he's had as a two-time champion of the Bandit Racing League. We don't talk about it enough, but certainly a guy that's proven his abilities in the past. Now, before we go to your final interview in just a moment with race winner Benjamin Lacey, we will put up your final trivia question. So keep an eye here. Here is your trivia question, your final of the race. Speaking of, which driver holds the most championship titles in Bandit Racing League history? This is a really tough one because we talk about this very rarely. This is really one you got to know the league to know, or if you've happened to have heard me mention it. But there are your answers and your final trivia question of the night. I just want to mention we've had plenty of registrations, so thank you everybody who's participated in the trivia tonight, as well as sticking around. This is the most viewers we've ever actively had this late in a broadcast before. We always try to do fun stuff like this and keep things relatively upbeat here post-race, so be sure to stick around as long as you can if you got the free time. I know tonight's race went by quick, but thank you guys so much tonight. We've had great support, we've had great interaction, and I will try to have the results tabulated as soon as possible, probably by tomorrow morning for the trivia contest, just because we got to go back and look at logs of when people answered, when the questions were asked, stuff like that. And then you will get your stuff. I'll send you I will send you your email that you put in when you registered to Mr. Alan Castle, who's ahead of the whole sponsorship thing, and is the guy that's representing the contest, and he will send you your 5 different flavors. It's a kind of a variety pack there, as well as your shaker cup, and sponsored by Rogue Energy. And that way, as we go through the next 2 races in the triple header, well, you'll have your Rogue Energy stuff right there beside you. And I certainly enjoy the cup they sent me. It's been really fun to get stuff, especially up here in Canada. They are based out of Tennessee. I don't get stuff sent from the States too much. But very quickly, there are your answers. Jonathan Platt, Kevin Foster, Nick Nickerson, Cody Welch. Who has the most titles in Bandit Racing League history? Your final question, and now to your final interview with your race winner. He unfortunately doesn't have a camera, so we can't use the race winner graphic, but he is your race winner, Mr. Benjamin Lacey. Let's get him in the booth tonight for your final interview, and there is his graphic. We'll pull him in. Mr. Benjamin Lacey, it is Marshall up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy? Hey, Benjamin, it's Marshall up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir, I do.
There we go. Benjamin, welcome back. 3rd win in 2 seasons, and the 4th different winner to start off the year. That we couldn't get over it. Evan and I, all the way to the end of the broadcast, we're just thinking, where did he come from? Like, you were running great early in the race. You came through the field. You started in 13th. But to find yourself at the end there on pit strategy, on fuel, first of all, what was the plan there? Was it pre-planned that you were going to try to pit in that particular section and go for the win on fuel? But also, just how do you keep doing it, man? So many surprise wins at the end of races.
Surprise win sometimes. It's better than no one at all. But yeah, that kind of got lucky really because that first set of pit stops, I didn't take tires. I was going to kind of strategize for a late race run based on tires, and then there was a second caution right around lap 40 or so that I was able to come in and then get another set, which put us about 10 to 12 laps fresher tires than everyone else. So we were able to kind of march our way up through the field there. Tony was running kind of a similar strategy, and then I think he got hit with a speeding penalty there on that last pit stop with on around lap 70. And at that point, I knew he and I were both good to go. So it was just making sure that we had enough because I had maybe about 2 or 3 laps left. But if we didn't conserve, probably would have had to pit. But sometimes strategy works out in your favor.
Well, aside from just strategy, you were looking quick all the way through. You looked like you had a really good handle on the line here at Atlanta, and it is such a tire wear heavy track. So what were you doing to try to combat that? And when all that chaos was happening early, all those drivers swarming around each other, what was your approach and what sort of line were you taking? Were you trying to go under on the inside, or were you trying to stay high and conserve tires all the way through?
For tire wear, definitely was looking at the high line, just kind of running it nice and easy up there against the wall, keeping that steering angle as low as possible. But when trucks are all over the track, you kind of got to take what's the open spot available to go through, especially if you're a lot faster based on tire wear and stuff. So I kind of took what was open there, and I didn't want to waste too much time on one side or the other, fighting for positions. That does waste the tires. So, try to get it done in a lap, 2 at the most. And if it took a little more than that, I would just kind of back it off and, readjust as we went. But yeah, that was kind of what I was thinking to do for keeping the tires nice and fresh. And it seemed to work out pretty well. It's kind of nice. The track kind of came in a little bit towards the end of the race. It seemed a lot more comfortable. The truck, I was able to kind of put a lot more throttle down on it as the race wore on, so it made it a lot easier to kind of drive as well.
And tonight to get home, to come home with the win, to work with all those factors and find yourself in first at the end of lap number 100. Not only tonight does that mean you're a race winner, you lock yourself into the playoffs here in the Bandit Racing League, but it also means you win the opening round of the Rogue Energy Triple Crown Challenge. The first race tonight, of course, at Atlanta, it was going to be tough on tire wear. Next, we go to Road America in this triple header. Of course, next week we're actually at Bristol in the series, but the next race in the triple header, we're going to Road America, a totally different ball game, and then we rounded off at Milwaukee Mile. First of all, how much do you know about Milwaukee Mile? How much do you like Road America? And do you think this is just a sign of things to come, that you'll be the winner of the Triple Crown and get all the prizes at the end of the season?
There's a lot of fast drivers out here. You got Nick, you got Brandon, Cody, Davey. Any of those guys, any given week, you can pretty much, one of those guys can win. Road America, I do like that. I do like that course a lot, but obviously we've got Nick to worry about, and I think it was Aaron. I think is another guy that's good on road courses too. So those two are probably the front 2 favorites there. And then Milwaukee, I haven't run that track too often, so that may be a weak course for me.
Well, as for next week, just to round it off, it only feels fitting to talk about next week, because now you're punched into the playoffs. And, well, first of all, the question becomes, how do you race going forward this season? Does anything change mentally knowing you're good in the playoffs, regardless of how the rest of the season goes as well? When you go to Bristol, a track that is definitely chaotic, definitely requires some guts to go for every single spot, do you start racing a little bit more aggressive now that, well, you don't have to worry about points, you're in the playoffs, you're locked in?
No, mindset doesn't change. I try to keep it the same all the way through. It's like a playoff race for me every time because these guys are so tough to beat. So I got to kind of approach it as a playoff race every time. And Bristol is it's a fast short track for me. So I enjoy it, but you got to be on your toes, and it's hard to kind of see up through the corners. I think we're doing the pavement version. I don't think it's the dirt, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so that's I've run that a few times, and hopefully we can come away up there with like a good top 5, and maybe sneak away another one. But time will tell.
It will indeed, and I can't wait for more races like this tonight. It was such a fun one. It's going to be a broadcast I'm sure people are rewatching for a long time. So what better time to win a race than in that particular one? Benjamin, congratulations, man. 3rd win in 2 seasons, and now is your opportunity to give a shout out to any friends, family, anybody watching at home, any sponsors you may have, or just whatever you'd like to talk about to round off the broadcast.
Yeah, first and foremost, Rogue Energy, kicking it off. It's pretty cool thing to be a part of. Pretty cool to be a winner for it. So appreciate them and the jobs that they're doing. Also think we also have a new sponsor here on board, Perfect Shine Auto Spa. So appreciate them coming on with the league and everything. That means a lot to us. So thank you. And you guys, Marshall, Full Send Racing Network, Evan as well. You guys do such a good job. So appreciate that. Bill, Matt, thinking about you, and hopefully a speedy recovery for your surgery. And appreciate you all.
Awesome. Thank you, Benjamin. Always a pleasure. Great to put on races like this if they're going to be this fun. And you get the win, you're in the playoffs, and you're going to try to go back-to-back in the top 4. I can't wait to see it. You're always one of those guys that sometimes can fly under the radar. We got to give you a little bit more credit. But, man, when you got to go for it, you knock it out of the park, man. You did it again tonight. Congratulations. Enjoy this week. Enjoy the win. And we'll see you next week at Bristol.
Thank you, guys. You do the same.
Thank you. And that'll round off your winner's interview with tonight's race winner at Atlanta in the first round of the Rogue Energy Triple Crown Challenge, Mr. Benjamin Lacey. It was not an easy time, was it, Evan? But man, did he earn it. It's just such a fun guy to watch and such a fun race. Just, I don't know how we're going to sum this up, Evan, in kind of our post-race kind of mini podcast segment, but just how do we describe this, Evan? What did we just watch?
Honestly, I don't have any words for what it was. It was so much fun to watch. I really can't describe it other than just saying I'm going to have to go watch this again, and I recommend y'all do too. It was such a fun race, such a good time. I'm going to have to go rewatch this in the morning.
Absolutely, and I think the big storyline, I said absolutely again, I was trying to avoid it, but there you go, my other catchphrase that I try to avoid, there I said it, but
absolutely.
I say it so often, I was trying today to avoid it, but there it is, it's back again. But yeah, so, I mean, storylines of the race. First of all, I think Aaron Smith, definitely a guy you always got to think about, but the fact that he found something there inside of himself after the road courses, after, he comes from another series with tons of great drivers that, he talks about all the time when he mentions the satellite racing team. Like, he has experience at more than just the road courses, but to come in tonight at such a competitive oval and just have pace, like lap per lap. He was getting the tires to last. He wasn't just dropping off at the end of the stint, but he was like confidently quicker than the guys behind who were all battling around. Just, I mean, Evan, what do you think we can chalk that up to for him?
Honestly, the guy's just good. He scares me. He reminds me a lot. I can imagine that in a couple of years, once he grows up a little bit and gets a little bit closer to his age, that's going to be a new Nick Nickerson. He just needs a little bit of experience under his belt, and he'll be just as dominant as Nick Nickerson, if not already. Who knows what he could do in these next couple of races? He could come out here and dominate like he did tonight. It would not surprise me one bit. From what I've seen so far, he just looks like a great race car driver.
Absolutely. Keep an eye on him at Bristol and the rest of the season going forward, because just what a way he's had, what a start to the season he's had. Just been, yeah, if you didn't know that he was a rookie this season, you'd think he was just as good as a guy like Nick Nickerson, like Kevin Foster, like Cody Welch, and wow, I'm so excited to watch him going forward. It was great to get a chance to sit down with him in the driver profile last week, and I think it's going to be a positive jinx if he continues to go forward the way he has. But very quickly, before we round off the interview, and first of all, thank you all of you at home. Yes, thank you, Brian, for noticing that. Good that we got the camera up quick as possible. Had my camera off most of the race, and now there's a fly. Everything's falling apart, but it was a fun race. But thank you guys so much. Like the level of interaction we've had from the chat lately has been great this entire season. Moving over to a new channel, I was worried that maybe there would be some fall off there. Some guys just wouldn't come over. Some guys and gals wouldn't transfer to the new channel. But we were just getting such great numbers and just such great interaction. Like plenty of entries today. In the trivia contest, it was very competitive, I can tell, based on keeping an eye on who was generally getting the questions right. So again, as soon as I get a chance tomorrow, you will hear the results, and you expect an email probably midday tomorrow, if not earlier than that. But yeah, just thank you guys for sticking around till right now and all the way through the trivia. Thank you for interacting with that, and thank you for watching such a fun race, making it so exciting and making it so that we know not only are we having fun watching it and broadcasting it, but we know it's going out to an audience that's excited to see it. And you know, if you have any inquiries, I always have my email down there in the description in the YouTube side of things. But if you have any suggestions or anything like that, you know, feel free to send them in there. Send them or to the other email. I just checked that one quite a bit less, the one that we used for the contest today. But yeah, if you have anything you want to mention, it's your guys' broadcast too. We do this for all of you watching at home, so it's only fitting. So if you have any inquiries, feel free to bring them there. We'll do more thank yous in a minute. But right now, we got to talk about our race sponsor again, Mr. Alan Castle's Rogue Energy here. Look at this glass they sent me. I live up in Canada. Rogue Energy is based out of Tennessee, and they sent me this sweet pint glass that I'm going to use like rest of the season for fluids. To clarify, this is not Rogue Energy. This is Kool-Aid. But Rogue Energy, more stuff to tell you about it, because as an energy drink, like I'm not a huge energy drink guy typically, just because partially probably because the atmosphere I was raised in, where people associate energy drinks with all these terrible things, you know, tons of caffeine, tons of sugars, gross stuff like that, like just stuff that, like I said earlier, you feel bad drinking. Like, you know, when you go to like Taco Bell and that feeling of like, oh, it feels great, but man, I really shouldn't have. That is what most energy drinks feel like to me. And they've tried to change that image after a while, or, you know, over time for brands like Monster or Red Bull. But the difference with Rogue Energy is they are genuinely good products. Like they use, again, very few bad ingredients, so minimal caffeine. We're getting the claps again, and it's something we saw last week, so hopefully there's some thumbs up. Thank you, everybody in Skype right now, particularly Ricky. But yeah, you know, they're using better ingredients, and they're trying to really budget out the number of ingredients that you need to use so that you have the effect of an energy drink. Gets your spirits up, gets your blood pumping, but it also doesn't use terrible stuff that, you know, you'll make yourself feel bad about, is going to, you know, do terrible stuff and clog up your arteries and give you all these bad problems with calories and stuff like that. So relatively low calorie, no sugar. It's a great brand. They have so many different flavors. I didn't get a chance to get an image with the flavors, but they've got everything. They got like dragon fruit. They got blue raspberry, similar to the Kool-Aid I'm drinking. That again, I really wish was Rogue Energy, but I might have to order myself some. They got so many flavors, so much variety. So Rogue Energy, use code Castle Esports. We'll get it up there for you again. Castle Esports is the code you want to use for 10% off your order at rogueenergy.com. And well, if you were a contest winner, you won some various flavors. You won some containers as well as a shaker cup from Rogue Energy. Well, if you enjoy it, there's where to go. There's where to save a little bit of money and get a great product for your troubles. And thank you again to Rogue Energy for sponsoring tonight's race, and to Alan Castle. They're going to be sponsoring us going forward, so you'll hear about them in the next 2 rounds of their mini Triple Crown Challenge, and we'll have those Triple Crown points for the next time when we go to Road America. So we'll keep you updated as a separate championship to the regular Bandit Racing League regular season. And I can't wait, Evan. After tonight, if the next 2 races are anything like this tonight, it's going to be an absolute joy. So there you go. Castle Esports is your code you want to use at rogueenergy.com for 10% off your order, and it's a great product. And they sent me a cup, and I can't get over that, how fun that is, and it makes me very happy. But Evan, before we go off the air, just again tonight, how would you round off tonight? Like, how would you describe this race to somebody if you had to explain what you were just doing for an hour? And what do you expect next week at Bristol, when hopefully we have you back in the booth with me again for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, well, I think next week at Bristol is going to be really fun. I love short tracks. Short tracks are really my type of racing. They're what I love doing and what I love to watch. And so I really think it's going to be a good time. We had such a great time tonight, and I feel like it's just going to continue on next week. Bristol may be a little bit tougher to drive, but I think these guys can handle it. I think they'll be able to hopefully keep it clean enough. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think you guys are definitely going to want to tune in next week. I don't know if it'll live up to this week's race. It was just so much fun, but nevertheless, it's going to be a great time. I see you got some thumbs up there over your face. That's how I feel. Just thumbs up.
Absolutely. What more can you say than that? I had such a fun time tonight. Sorry for the tech issues at the beginning. I've been using this software for 2 years. I've never had the pre-race results just get stuck on the screen like that. But we got it figured out sooner rather than later, and we still managed to catch some of the best racing we've seen in this series in a very long time. But that's high praise, because we've had some great races here lately to start off season 9. So there you go with that. Let's very quickly get your schedule up. I talked about before, if we do trivia again in the near future, which I would not be opposed to at all, a trivia contest round 2, well, here's the graphic you want to keep an eye on. There is your schedule this season. So a little bit of information based on trivia. Charlotte Motor Speedway is the final round of the season, so hopefully that is what you picked. That should be a great race. But for the rest of the month, we got Bristol in a week, as we just mentioned. That is, just to clarify, Bristol Concrete. There is a Bristol dirt track, but we are not running dirt until Knoxville the week after. So 2 short tracks back-to-back. Then Milwaukee Mile, the second round, I should say, of the Rogue Energy triple header. And then that'll round off of August. And then by the time we get into September, we're going to Nashville Fairgrounds, one of Evan's favorites, Chicagoland, which no longer is run in real life in the NASCAR series, Michigan after that, and then Road America, which I believe it's at the 22nd there. We're going to Road America in September, and then Texas to round it off. So a great schedule going forward, and that'll take us with only 3 races to go in the regular season to the playoffs. We got 4 drivers punched in very quickly before tonight's race. Let's just remind you who those 3 drivers locked in were. Nick Nickerson, Brandon Jackson, and Trey Ellis are in, and now so is Benjamin Lacey. There are your 4 drivers, and that'll about round off tonight's interview. Again, thank you all at home for taking the time, sticking with us through the broadcast, participating in trivia if you did. It was such a fun thing to do. Hopefully we can do it again at Milwaukee Mile if there's interest, and you guys want to get a second shot, and Rogue Energy's kind enough to do it again. But yeah, on behalf of myself, the entire Full Send Racing Network team, which is currently just myself and Evan Wall, but what a team we are, the dream team, if you will. On behalf of Bill Harkins, who runs the league, yeah, quick shout out. A couple drivers shouted him out, and as well as Evan did. But yeah, Matt Crockett just went through surgery earlier today. He's doing well. He's doing great. He's good enough to race. I cannot imagine, having a surgery and then immediately going out on track. And there was a brief part of me that when he was on an alternate pit strategy and he was going to make it to the end, gosh, I was hoping he was going to win it, man. What a story that would have been. But he did great tonight, finished in 17th, and way to go for him. So awesome news for him. Best of luck, Matt. Best of luck, recovering, and hopefully you're all good to go. Full send next week, just like the channel at Bristol. But thank you to him. Thank you to Bill for running the series, to all the admins, to Nick Nickerson for doing the points. He just sent them to me. That's how I got you a little bit of a brief sneak peek into next week's top 3. Just to remind you that it's Foster, Hendricks, and Nickerson are your top 3 in the championship. And that'll about round it off. So for myself and Evan, for everybody in the Bandit Racing League, thank you for watching round 4 of the season and the opening round of the Rogue Energy Triple Crown Challenge here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. What a race. Benjamin Lacey takes the win. And that'll about round things off. We'll see you all next week at Bristol. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. Well, the results of trivia will be out there tomorrow. That'll about round it off. What a race. What a broadcast. See you very soon.
Absolutely.